We did it.
Hi, YouTube.
And if we go like this, we should be able to see both chats.
Sure.
But actually, let's go like this. Hi, friends. We are not prepared because this is our first time live streaming to both YouTube and to Twitch. And we don't know what we're doing.
I know what I'm doing.
Do you?
Yeah.
Are you doing deck techs with us? Do you want to pull up the chair?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm just here to make sure everything works.
All right. Welcome, guys, to our very first Patron Deck Tech live stream. We're here with Veggie. We've got some patron lists ready for you guys. We're going to go over all the different deck lists. You guys can find them in the description of the video. We're going to talk about what we think that they can be upgraded, what they do, and talk about all the different cool stuff to do with those deck techs.
Yes.
Yeah. You ready to go, Veggie?
Always.
All right. So our first one is a
Pier and Toothy
by Magic Cave. So let's take a look at this deck list. Your mouse also works, so you can sort of hover and move around as you please. Veggie is sort of the leader of the deck list portion.
Pier and Toothy. What a classic. Everybody loves Pier and Toothy. Because they do the whole Simic thing. Pier gives an extra counter whenever you put a counter on any of your permanents, and Toothy gets big when you draw cards, and then draws you cards when it dies. That's Simic. There's a lot of ways you can build this, because Pier is... Pier cares about any counters whatsoever. So we have a couple Planeswalkers to start off with, but I'm not sure if they are just here because they're Planeswalkers and automatically get a little buff, or if there's some synergy. Like, Jaces are milling people. Nissa gives you counters. That's helpful. And this is a realistic win con to Jace Wielder of Mysteries yourself, because Toothy can get really big, and then you're like, all right, I'll draw my entire deck now.
So we're seeing one alternate win condition so far. Some counters maybe for Evolution Sage and Thrumming Bird. Kind of interesting for a counter synergy there. I like that. Yeah.
Those benefit when you have counters across all of your stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's probably the focus here. Yeah, this is good old +1/+1 counters. I think that is the only kind of counter that I'm seeing here. Besides the loyalty so far. You get your casual Thassa's Oracle. I approve.
That is two alternate win conditions so far.
I think Thassa's Oracle is totally fine by itself if you're not comboing with it. And it's cool, because you have to do a lot of work to draw your deck, like, naturally. I don't think I'm seeing any other combos for that. I'm trying to see if there's any good double duty creatures, because you do have the two halves of the deck. You have the part that wants to put counters on things, and you have the part that wants to draw cards for Toothy. But that's the tough part, is most of these have to go one way or the other. They're either doing counter stuff or they're drawing cards. You have, like, Zagana kind of draws a card, but also cares about counters. But it seems like fairly balanced between the two. I'm just trying to think if there are any off the top of my head that would be like that perfect, counters and draw. But I don't know. Sorceries. Just the Kodama's Reach. And then some... Okay, well, here's your big card draw.
Expertise.
How many... Yeah, like, that is able to cost a lot of things that we've seen so far. There are only, like, 8 cards that are over the 5 mana threshold.
Also, Blue Sun Zenith draws all the cards.
Yeah.
And I believe Thassa's Intervention also draws a bunch of cards.
It technically doesn't.
No?
It puts cards from the top of your library into your hand. So this, I'm also trying to think if there's like a convenient swap for this, because the utility here is nice to either just like card advantage or counter something, but I don't know, like Cryptic Command gives you a counter and at least you can draw cards off of it. That might be a more synergistic swap. Okay. We are making sure to hang on to all the cards in hand. Spellbook and Thought Vessel. We also saw the Seagate Restoration earlier. I bet you we see a Reliquary Tower down below. Thought Vessel and Strixhaven Stadium, the only mana rocks here. Although usually with Simic you don't see a ton of mana rocks because
you have things.
Spells, right, that do it, or dorks.
Yep. I'd like to note I was doing an alternate win con count. If you go back up to the artifacts, we have the Strixhaven Stadium and the Millennium Calendar, which is like, 4 or 5 alternate win cons now, which is kind of neat.
Yeah. Yeah, Stadium, Calendar, Thassa's Oracle, Jace. And then we just got to another one, Simic Ascendancy. I think people should play them more often. Especially the fun ones like this. Like, that is kind of tricky to do, and it's on board. Mm-hmm. So even if you explode it out of nowhere, like, people knew that you had the Ascendancy.
Quick shout out to Maldhound, who's in the chat. Welcome, a regular here on Decked Out. It's good to see you.
Never heard of him. Let's see. Casual Guy's Cradle, you know.
Yeah, they also put, like, very expensive islands in.
These are great.
Fancy fish.
They're so pretty. This is the astrology one, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the 2 fish is. Is that like Gemini or something? I don't know. I'm not an astrology girly.
Quick question, side note from the Deck Tech. Chris Smith says, I'm a new patron and could not get into the Discord. Is there a way I could possibly get in? Yes, you actually get in through your Patreon settings. If you go into the Patreon settings, it'll let you link your Discord, and it gives you a link to our Discord, which also gives you those special channels and roles when you go in through Patreon. Let me know. You can feel free to DM me if you have any questions.
Okay.
Karn's Bastion, another proliferate trigger as well. We had Thrumming Bird and the Evolution Sage. Is that the correct name, I think?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, as proliferates for across the board. It's a good effect. Doubling Season. I support running Doubling Season 2, but more fun. Primal Vigor.
Primal Vigor. That's the one that does it for everyone.
Yeah. If I'm going to get it, everybody else should get it too.
That's not the way my cards should work. I don't know. As long as I am confident that I'm going to be the one benefiting the most, then sure. Which I feel like in this deck you are. But
yeah. I think any deck you run that in, right? But
we also have Tribute to the World Tree and Branching Evolution, both doing those, and Hardened Scales. We've got all the bits.
Yeah. Now this is the kind of card I'm talking about for this. This is like the perfect double duty card of this is either drawing cards or putting +1/+1 counters on stuff in the same card.
Why not Great Henge and just have both?
Yeah.
You're struggling today.
Yeah.
Do you need a drink?
I might have to after this. Okay. What was this? So, one, you have a NerdGirl land count here.
Woo!
That's not a woo. That's too few.
It's a woo in my decks.
This is Simic.
Yeah. You have too many dinosaurs, large snakes, and Vorinclexes for it to be a woo. I agree. My decks cap out at like 3 in Orzhov. 3 CMC. But yeah, you've got Ancient, Bronze Dragon, Vorinclex. Yeah, you got all the things. I agree. This is not a woo. However, it's not always wrong.
It's usually wrong.
It is not.
I mean, overall, I'm very surprised that for a Simic deck, you have a pretty low land count by my standards.
I think it is low. You have a lot of large creatures.
And
Do we have a lot of
Simic do
instances?
rampin'.
Yeah, where
but-
are the ramp spells? 1.
Yeah, we have Kodama's Reach, Thought Vessel, Strixhaven Stadium.
Not enough rocks.
That's three things. 0 dorks.
Okay.
That's my favorite thing about Simic, is you get to do the big blue things faster. I would definitely, I feel like there's also, like, some dorks that care about counters and mana. Like, Devoted Druid. The one that puts -1/-1 counters on itself to untap. That would be great, because then you can use your other stuff, put counters onto it, and nullify those.
Someone in chat noting that they have Kodama with only 30 lands.
That's, ugh. Well, alright, that's today's stream. We will see you never, ever again.
Oh, man. Okay. So overall, Veggie, how are you feeling? Is this your typical build that you see in a Pier and Toothy deck?
I see a lot of crossover with the standard build. I really like the like alternate win con angle. Sometimes people are just like, oh well, put counter, draw card, hope win, and like that can work. But this has got fun alternate wins. Like this is a fun Thassa's Oracle. You don't have a combo. You're just drawing cards. If you can get there, you got there. But I would be worried that I don't get to do all of my cool stuff. I want to be able to slam Coma on the board on like turn 5.
This doesn't have a lot of mana dorks either.
Mm-mm.
So it had minimal rocks, minimal ramp, minimal dorks. You have an incubation druid, and that's all she wrote, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need some more. And you just gotta kind of pick and choose where you think that would be. What things would you cut either for rocks, dorks, or lands? Do we need all these Jaces? Nissa's my girl. She stays.
And she puts counters on everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I support a party Jace, but I don't know what synergy that he adds other than having counters on himself because Planeswalker. You can he does allow you to draw a card off of him, but there are things that are better that can draw you 1 card per turn. Same here. I don't think either of those are drawing or milling efficiently enough for you to really want them, or maybe just like Jace, but I think that's pretty reasonable.
Someone in chat is pointing out that Volo does not like having so many legendary creatures, and there is a pretty high count of legendaries. It's like, what, close to 50% it looks like? Maybe not quite, but there's a lot.
Yeah.
Someone
I'm trying to see if there were any that you get any value out of, but really it's like Zagana you would draw a card, but I think that's about it. I don't mind him here, but he that's definitely on the chopping block.
Okay. Either that, or if there were legendary creatures in there that were just kind of thrown in there that you don't need, if you could remove 1 or 2, maybe that would also up Volo's general value.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want all of the thrumming birds in the world in my counter decks. Yeah, let's do that.
I applaud Spell Pierce in Commander, but as a Spell Pierce lover, I don't even play it. That is ambitious, and I know that you probably feel like a genius when it works. I guess this is good if you're if you're not playing the same group consistently, but
once they know you have it.
Yeah, it's gonna be dead a lot of the time. There were some fresh new counters, I want to say, that also care about +1/+1 counters. You have the Essence Capture, which is great.
Yeah.
But I think I want to see there was one that just came out in like Murders or Thunder Junction that's Simic and counters. So maybe take a look there to replace this Scatter Ray. I don't know if I'd run Blue Sun Zenith. It does draw cards, which is good for Toothy, but not at the best rate. You know, I don't think I want to be casting this for any less than like 3. X is 3, and with the low land count and, you know, not much ramp, I don't think you are often going to have the mana where that feels good.
Yeah, I agree. I think Blue Sun would be a cut for me, especially at this stage. I would need a lot more lands, ramp, or rock to want that in there. So I like that as a chopping block card.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we've gone over the different win cons and the deck game plan as a whole. Veggie, what do you think is the number one thing to fix, upgrade, tweak?
I mean, definitely number one is ramp. I would say I want more lands in general. There's so many. You get all the dorks. You get Llanowar Elves and Birds of Paradise, and Nature's Lore and 3 visits. You can be just dropping Toothy on the table on like turn 3 and going to town. And then like kind of related, but a close second is there are 27 basic lands in here. I love my utility lands.
Yep.
And I feel like you've got a lot of things that you could add here. I don't think there was any basic land synergy. So really, I think the only reason I could see you running this many basics is because you've chosen good looking basics.
There are good looking basics. So it looks like optimizing the mana base as well as increasing ramp and access to rocks and things like that seems like the consensus of what we would want to upgrade the most were this to make a debut on the show. Next up is our personal ratings.
I want to point out one last thing before we go. Do you notice anything interesting about these 6 artifacts that are included?
Card draw, alternate win con, counters, card draw, alternate win con.
Yes. Let me rephrase. Do you notice anything interesting about what is missing from these 6 artifacts?
Mana rocks. Great Henge.
There is no Soul Ring or Arcane Signet in this deck.
Yeah, mana rocks. It is weird, but I feel like there are some play groups who decide to remove it.
I only mean to point this out because like I think I support not playing Soul Ring. I think it can really warp games that it shouldn't. But I am surprised. I'm surprised here to not see either of those as like probably the 2 most played cards of in the entire format.
Include, yeah, definitely. It sounds like they actively did not want to run them for a particular reason. I'm guessing the play group. But you have so many big expensive things. I would like to see it in.
Yeah.
or at least something else. Some Llanowar Elves. A good old flying bird. An 0-1 bird.
Okay, so you were saying
personal scores. We did the thing we would like to upgrade the most or tweak. Now we are going to go over our personal scores, and this is based on flavor, power, synergy, how much you like the deck. It is not strictly like how optimized this list is.
Yeah. I think what this deck wants to do gets big points from me. You are organically drawing yourself out for a win. If not just smashing their face in with a giant imaginary creature. It's got a lot of fun like synergy. You're taking a lot of game actions. It's a lot of counters, a lot of proliferate and putting things and moving things. I respect Dispel Mirrors in Commander. And with the different alternate win conditions that you have available, I connect with that. You know, it does lose some points, I think, for functionality because of the low land count and the low ramp. And I'm hoping some people will surprise me here today with cards that I have not seen or thought about for a long time, but I don't think there are any of those here. That's my extra credit for the day. I'm gonna say, well, out of 10,
Sure.
I would give this a 6 out of 10. It's like I think it's a good time, and it does some things that I wanted to be doing in Magic, but I'm not confident it does them consistently.
All right, so for me, I like the theme. I like counter decks. If you guys have seen the show any amount, that is typically the slot I fill is green counters, red zone 90-degree creature stuffs. So I'm a big fan, and I like things like Forgotten Ancient, one of my favorite cards as a kid. I did Golgari, Forgotten Ancient, Mephitros Vampire, Triskelion decks, like things like that, where you get to do fun, silly things.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Skatewing Spy. My creatures with counters have flying, and you can do all of that. So it's the counter decks that I love. It's the creatures that I love. You mix in some blue to give it flying and card draw and all the fun stuff, which I know is not how you would approach this deck, but I like it. I think I would have a ton of fun playing this, and to me, that's the most important thing when it comes to my personal rating. I just want some mana base to help, some rocks, some dorks. I would want at least 2 or 3 more dorks, 2 more rocks, and probably 2 more land as well, which means there's a lot of cuts to be made here. So that's the only thing holding me back from this being like something I would just love to immediately shuffle up. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. You can go do drink quick thing. I'm going to answer some generic questions. Also, I wanted to take a peek at how YouTube works because I have no idea what we're doing. This is our first time ever streaming live to YouTube, either one of us. Concurrent viewers, 100. That's pretty cool. All right.
Okay, bye.
And then I will queue up the next deck tech before Veggie gets back. Quick shout out to Magic Cave again for submitting this and for being one of our patrons. I really, really appreciate it. Okay, guys, if anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to ask. We might be answering things that are either posted in Twitch or on YouTube, so you guys don't have both of those things open. Then you might just not see all of the things that we're responding to. Please this deck. Make this content, please. I don't know what that means. If you guys have any questions about what is going on or about the channel or behind the scenes, anything like that, don't hesitate to ask. Is there a general rule for Planeswalker count in a deck aside from Super Friends? I don't think so. I personally only like putting in like there are people who love them and put way too many in, and I think there are people who hate them and put none in ever. I love a good Planeswalker in my deck, but I want it to really, really, really help the synergy of what the deck is trying to do. Like, I have to read the commander and I have to be like, oh yeah, that was made for this deck, and then I want it in there. So the general question is there a rule about Planeswalkers, like how many you should have in a deck? And I was suggesting that I feel like people either fall in the way too many all the time or none at all because it makes you a threat. Is that generally how you feel about them?
I'm in the none category.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. People are either in one of those two categories. I am in the middle. I love it when my Planeswalkers are built for the deck they want to be in, and then I'm so happy to have them in there.
Yeah, I do feel like people are either one way or the other. And for me, I think Planeswalkers in a bubble are a lot of fun and really cool and do a lot of stuff. But I have almost never had an experience where I'm like, I will play this just value and synergy Planeswalker. It doesn't really do anything. Read the things that it does. It doesn't really do a whole lot. It just works with what I'm trying to do. And then everybody's like, yes, we agree. We will assess this threat normally. It doesn't happen. Everybody's like, it's a Planeswalker. I will kill it immediately. I'm like, okay. So I end up having less fun with it than because I think people just see Planeswalker and go, fire, kill it.
I'm okay with that. It being in my deck, knowing that it's meant to be there, makes me happy. Okay. Answer one or two more questions real quick before we get to the next deck tech. Meaning that, if possible, would like to get my consistent? I don't know what that means. I still don't know what it means, Perry. I'm so sorry. I think you maybe want to get your deck list on today's show, but unfortunately all 8 of our deck lists are already picked and queued up, as you can see in the tab, and they are from our patrons from our Discord channel. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our next deck tech, and this is submitted by Randy H. So special shout out to Randy. Let's take a look here and check out your Yuriko deck.
Yeah, it's everybody's favorite design mistake, Yuriko the Tiger Shadow. There are a lot of ways to build this deck, by which I mean 3. So we will see which of the 3 ways that they built this deck, and if they have any fun surprises. By the way, it's you go Yuriko extra turns, you go Yuriko top deck shenanigans, or you are a cool person and you do Yuriko, it's just ninjas, I'm not trying to break this thing.
All right, well, let's start by reading it.
No. It's a 1/3. We don't have to care about how much it costs for mana ever, because as Commander Ninjutsu for a blue and a black, you just switch it with something that you have that's not blocked. Ta-da, it's on the board. It never changes. There's no Commander Ninjutsu tax. Whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, you reveal the top card of your library and put that into your hand, and each of your opponents loses life equal to the card's mana value. So, of course, doing extra turns means more attacks, which means you do the ability over and over again.
More card draw.
More card draw, more life loss, more attack, etc. Or if you do top deck shenanigans, then you're like, great, I put this Draco on top of my library. Everybody please take 16. But yeah, we'll see what happens here.
More Planeswalkers we were just talking about, Kaito and Jace.
Yeah.
Do you think they were built and designed for this deck?
Well, I mean, Kaito is a ninja. So that's at least flavorful.
I love that. The ninjas would qualify, right? They would deal the damage if Yuriko was out. And what about Jace?
I don't know. I mean, like, my instinct is no. I would be pleasantly surprised if this was I'm going to mill/draw myself out build of Yuriko. Otherwise, Jace is just 4 mana. I draw a card every turn. So I'm not sure. Maybe I'm pleasantly surprised, but I think Jace is just like, he exists. Why not put him in the deck?
All right, so that would be one of my potential cut options for my next point, which is I don't think there's enough 1-drops here. These are in CMC order, right? And I feel like we need more than 2 when Yuriko has a 2 ninjutsu cost.
Yeah, that's like kind of the whole thing. I'm like, yeah, there's 3 ways to build Yuriko, but all of them, you want to ensure that on turn 1 you're playing one little guy that can't be blocked. And then on turn 2, you go, I will turn this sideways, and now it is Yuriko.
One is a ninja, one is not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so more 1-drops is my vote. How many do you think we would want in this deck, roughly?
Well, what? I guess we could, like, quick girl math this. You want to be guaranteed to have one in your opening hand. So in 100 cards, odds of having one card in your opening hand, something, I don't know, like
6.
6 is a number that sounds like, yeah.
I'm gonna throw a spaghetti at the wall, and we're gonna say 6.
Like 6 to 8 or something. You want to be able to have one and not have to mulligan too often to find one.
Another one I wanted to point out, term, I assume coined by our lovely friend Mauled we have Tatsuko, the leader of the Tiny Meat Gang, because I just wanted to say that.
I don't understand. Can you explain what that means?
He has tiny meat.
I
You understood it fine when Wallhound said it. Tatsuko is a commander that will actually be featured on the show here in the next few weeks. So we are very familiar with this little guy. Mm-hmm. And important to note that Yuriko does have 1 attack power. So it helps get Yuriko in after she's on the board.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
And actually, that is it's a good add here because most of the stuff here is going to have either one power or toughness. Boom, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, like even just in the first row, it's a majority of them. But one thing that has always made me sad, Tatsuko, not a ninja. Should be, but not.
But it enables all your other ninjas.
Yes.
So that is...
Like, for sure you have it in this deck.
Yes.
It is very ninja-y. I think we are going the cool route on this because, like, stuff like Nezumi Prowler, not high-powered, not the optimal choice, but it's a cool ninja. So who cares? And we like Satoru does not really make sense in any of the other builds, but if you're going to be activating ninjutsu on things other than Yuriko, then that's some nice extra value. Yeah, like Akiba Gang Shinobi, this is not a good card, but it's cool because it's a ninja. Okay. So we've gone the way of the ninja. Just without any 1-drops. But, maybe we throw some extra turns in there too.
Well, extra turns make sense specifically with this commander, more so than the average deck that just kind of throws them in because yay turns. But this one, like, yeah. Mm-hmm. I like it because you're like basically using it for like 3 damage and 2 cards or something, which is not nothing, but at least it's a cool thing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends. If you're using them once you're a little bit more set up, because your stuff is unblockable, you're getting all these multiple ninjutsu triggers, and some of them, like Fallen Shinobi and Silent Blade Oni, are very powerful. So, like, that's I guess the ideal. Good on you. Good on you, Randy. Nanogene Conversion is a sick card that people should be playing. It will make everybody's brain hurt every once in a while, but it's worth it, I promise you. Because keep in mind that most cards that have this kind of effect are like, oh, all of your stuff turns into the same thing. This one is all stuff. Every creature on the board becomes that. So it just makes for, I think, some really fun commandery moments.
The ones we hate to edit.
Yes.
A lot of instants and sorceries, 10 plus 19. That's a hefty number.
I like this.
And very, like, no expense spared in these instants. We have Force and Mana Drain and Fierce and... Didn't I see a Cyclonic Rift? Or was that... No, that was... Yep, I did see it. Yeah, these are some pricey bits.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we do see a demonic consultation here. This card exists in deck lists for one reason only, and that is to make your entire library go away. It is interesting that if Randy here is willing to put in the old demonic consultation Jace Wielder of Mysteries, why not just go the extra 2 blue mana and also put a Thassa's Oracle in here? But then that's also another level of weird to me, because we know that they've gone this cool but less powerful, like, ninja theme route. So there's some conflict to me there.
I feel like that is how I would build it. I'd be like, this is a ninja commander. Let's build ninjas.
Right.
So, like,
I think that's a good choice, but then also, by the way, 2-card combo. 2-card, no ninja, instant win combo. I don't know. I wanna... First, you all should play this card. It's wonderful. Wherever Airball is in the house right now, I hope he can hear me. This is a mono black counterspell, straight up counterspell, and it will get people every time.
Well, not straight up counter spell. It's a creature counter.
Right, but what I mean is you like the other things, like you have like Dash Hopes, which is, you know, they either counter or you can just pay 5 life, sure. But black, I think this is the only time where you have a hard counter.
But my question is that would make a lot of sense if this was Golgari or something. Why are we running this in blue-black?
Right.
Like, why is this not just an essence scatter?
Right. To me, this is just the cool factor. Like, it is straight up inferior to blue counterspells that you could have in this deck.
I feel like we were like, I need an essence scatter. Crap, I don't know where mine went. Oh, it's in this deck. I don't want to get it out. So you just put this in.
Right. Like, why do I? This is a $7 essence scatter, but that you pay 3 life for. But the card is cool, and those of you who don't have access to blue in your decks, be aware that this exists.
I've never seen that played in a game of Commander before.
I keep trying to sneak it into our lists, but
it never gets. Does it not make it into the list, or does it not show up?
I think it's just not shown up.
Okay. I will pay attention more to when you're playing black.
I do want to point out there's some sneaky Yuriko tech here. You see a couple of these split cards, Commit to Memory, Consign to Oblivion, Rags to Riches. If you hit that with her ability, which says each opponent loses life equal to that card's mana value, for a split card, it is the combination of those costs. So if you hit Rags to Riches, the entire table loses 11 each. And so, like, those are some very good card choices.
All right, let's move on to the artifacts.
So here we have a little, also, like, some more dissonance for me. You have a Graph Digger's Cage and a Null Rod. These are good, powerful cards that are usually seen more in high power because they stop people from doing stuff, which usually you don't use card slots for that in like lower power or more casual lists.
Or you see them also a lot in like specific play groups where people are kind of hating each other.
Yeah.
And then also you have Veggie's #1 countered spell on the show, Sensei's Divining Top.
I was gonna say Inkshield, but
you've only counted that once.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, this card just does belong here. It's both flavorful and, you know, the top deck manipulation is very useful for Yuriko. But, you know, it makes me have to edit a whole bunch of actions on everybody's turn.
All right, moving to enchantments. Not a lot, but I don't feel like this kind of deck needs it.
Yeah.
Aqueous Form's cool, makes it unblockable, so you can continue to get your triggers.
Mm-hmm. Also, like, it looks like it's just made for Yuriko, because the attack scry 1, also very relevant, because you can just have that resolved before Yuriko's trigger, so you know what's on top, or if it's like a land or something, you put it on the bottom. Rogue class in Yuriko. I guess that is okay, because you will have to pay 7 mana before you care too much, because creatures you control having menace is you have so many other ways that things are getting through, whether they have like evasion themselves or you're using like Tatsuko. It's all right. I think I like this more if there are a bunch of one mana creatures that can attack for free. You'll get so much more value out of this.
Also, Soothsaying, I'm a fan of that. I use that in my Unit deck, and this seems super relevant when you're drawing so many cards off Yuriko.
Right. Do you know they were both born in the same deck?
What?
Those two, Unit and Yuriko.
Oh,
yeah.
I did not know that.
They come from the same precon, because they both kind of care about the top of the deck and are in, yeah.
that does not make sense to me at all.
Yeah.
Those two things, yeah, they both kind of care, but very different ways.
Smoke Shroud. See, this is another one of those cards where it's like, yeah, this is cool because ninja cool. Card bad. Ninja
But
cool.
Ninja cool, yeah.
All
right, let's take a look here at the mana base. 37. This is a veggie number of lands.
This is, and it's going to be funny because I have to say, I think this is too many lands for Yuriko.
Also, no Soul Ring.
No Soul Ring, no Arcane Signet.
So two times now.
I respect it. See, because this is such a different deck. This deck functions on very few lands. You just need to hit 1-drop, 2-drop.
There's no 1-drops, so we just need to hit 2-drop, 3-drop.
Well, yes, but I guess that's why we have more lands in this one. You can get away with, I think, like 33, 34 lands in Yuriko, because if you have the 1-drops, you just go turn 1 creature, turn 2 Yuriko, draw, and now I'm drawing 2 cards a turn. I will get the lands that I need. So hey, just swap some of these lands out for 1-drops. Easy fix.
And again, kind of no expenses spared, right? We have Prismatic Vista, Underground Sea, all the goodies. We also have Shizo's Death Store, which is cool. Maze of Ith, Rogue's Passage for like unblockable things and utility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this mana base looks great. I would agree. Let's just cut 3 lands and add 3 1-drops, and like
I'm pretty happy. I like
that would be like pretty spot on, right?
Yeah. The Creeping Tar Pit is cute because it in a pinch it's an unblockable creature. I do think in this deck, if you're not running both of them, you can swap Rogue's Passage out for Access Tunnel. It's just a more efficient, my creature's unblockable, since none of your stuff has got power 3 or more.
Or both.
Or both.
Secret Tunnel. Through the mountains.
Are probably good here for that, because you have to be careful with Yuriko, because this deck is very pip intensive, since you have a lot of lil creatures that have pips, and she herself needs 2 for the Companion Ninjutsu. But this is the only land in the whole deck that can only produce colorless mana, with the exception of Maze of Ith that doesn't produce any.
I was going to say, also, like, how much do we love Maze of Ith? Like, it's fine for utility land, but if we're worried about pips, wouldn't we rather...
Yeah, either that or you just don't count it in your land count. But, that also seems like maybe a meta pick if they're running these, because, I'm not too worried about individual creatures if I'm in black. I'm just like, great, I'll kill it. Since this only takes care of a single creature. I guess here's the trick, is you can use it on your own Yuriko. You can just like, hey, I'm gonna take all my ninjas and swing out. Okay, now you've blocked one of them and it will just die. I can use my own Maze of Ith to save it. But I don't know, I just rather make them all unblockable.
Yeah, that was what I was suggesting, is if you didn't want more colorless pips, because of the mana intensiveness, I think I would prefer the, what was the other one called again? Access Tunnel, instead of the Maze of Ith, as a possibility, if you're worried about those. Yeah. All right. So that is the Yuriko deck list. Some people in chat kind of talking back and forth a little bit, like, is this close to CEDH? Is it not? Couple reasons for, couple reasons against. It looks like someone took a CEDH deck and was like, I want more ninjas, and also I don't have some of these cards, and then they added more like fun things. So it seems kind of half and half. Is that where you're at as well?
Yeah, I played CEDH Yuriko for a little while, and there's definitely some crossover here. These type of decks I always worry about, because like, if you're making choices for fun stuff, you want to be able to play your little Skull Snatcher guy. You want to be you're playing Higure, which is just a cool ninja. Then that inherently you're choosing, I'm going to put worse cards in my deck to feel good, have good time.
To feel something
again. But probably the reason you can't feel anything anymore is because you're running Demonic Constellation. And so, like, that gives you such a wide range of what your game experience can be for the full table. Like, some games will be like, I played my little ninjas, and everybody just kind of hit each other a little bit, and great. And then some games will be like, I played Jace on turn 3, and then Demonic Consultation in my upkeep or whenever this triggers. In my upkeep and a 1 on turn 4. And those are that's such a wide range of experience that it seems like it would be inconsistent on what you would get out of this deck.
Well, let's go ahead and jump to our number one thing we would alter or fix or upgrade. I think the general consensus is 3 less lands, 3 more 1-drops.
Yeah, if not 4. But yes, less lands, more 1-drops. I think you'll have a great time.
Yes, agreed. And personal scores. What are we thinking here? 1 to 10, Veggie. On the Veggie happy scale. Power, synergy, flavor, personal play style.
I would... Ooh, that's tough. I'm a big Ninja fan. I was so happy when Yuriko first came out. I was like, yes, I get to play a Ninja Commander. And then I was so sad because everybody's like, but this thing is super broken. This is maybe one of the best commanders of all time. And I was like, I didn't want that. I just wanted somebody to play my little ninjas with.
Yeah, Veggie doesn't like good cards.
I don't like when I'm playing good cards, but like
you're like the hipster of Magic.
I like playing good cards, but like only when I'm intending for them to be good cards. This one was like, oh cool, I have a janky little ninja thing. Oh right, it's really good. That's not what I wanted. Yeah. I don't know if the cool ninja choice is enough to override my very primal instinct. I like to control the kind of experience I have with my decks, and I think this one is just too loose cannon. I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 10 because of how differently the power its power level can be on any given day. I would love to see this either really lean into here's some dinky little ninjas. Here's all the cutest little cards that I've found that just like give me good brain chemicals, and and people have to pick up my cards and read them, or give me like no holds barred Yuriko, and run everything that you possibly can, because the card is really powerful, and powerful magic is also fun. But I think this is a weird balance of those two things.
See, I like that. Personally, I'm into the weird balance. Like, I want my deck to be able to hang, but also I don't want to be playing CEDH, no holds barred commander. So I'm on board. You gave this a 5?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give it a little higher. I think I like ninjas, and I actually, my thing is I would like to downgrade this deck a little bit. I'd like to get rid of some of these big money, difficult cards. I'm not really into like Force and Mana Drain, and I kind of like the Cyclonic Rift a little bit, because your things are so much smaller than everybody else's, so it gives you more time to like make that game plan. But for the most part, I think I would want to tone it down. I'm going to give it a 7. But I too want to have some more 1-drops and lean a little heavier into my cute little ninja guys.
Yeah. So we've seen 2 decks so far. Currently, we are at 100% Jace Wielder of Mysteries and 0% Soul Ring, 0% Arcane Signet, which is wild. What is happening in Commander World?
That's true. Neither deck had either of those cards. Someone in the chat keeps spamming Gonti, Canny, Acquisitor, upgrade please. We can't upgrade this deck list. It is up to the owners, but you know that card. What do you think? Is that a card that should be in this deck?
It can't be, because it is a Sultai card.
There we go. So I'm not sure why they have spammed that 13,000 times in the chat, but
Well, they know that there's an easy way for us to do that, right? Is that all they have to do is become a patron and then submit their Inquisitor deck list for us to do specifically on a stream like this.
So that was going to be my next point as well, that these deck lists, guys, are submitted by our patrons, and they're submitted once a month. You can submit a deck list if you are signed up for the appropriate tier, and then we are planning on taking 8 deck lists at a time and doing these every weekend as long as we get 8 deck lists. Right now, that'll probably be about once per month. So next up, we are going to check out a very similar themed deck. It was actually part of the last deck, and this is a commander that will be on the show in 2 or 3 weeks, because Cheezus was actually one of our patron sponsors and did submit Tatsuko Uezama Fugitive, the leader of the Tiny Meat Gang. So says Maldhound, who actually piloted this deck.
Yes. Right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, to be clear, it is not just this commander that was submitted. This is the list that you will see.
So this patron submitted it not only for us to review here today on this show, but also for us to play on an episode of Decked Out. So let's take a look. And now that we've played the game, also we have a little bit more insight into the deck list and how it performed. We won't, no spoilers though.
Yeah. Reminder again.
Except for the fact that Maldhound played it.
Yeah. Maybe not, because I don't remember if he did or not, but maybe I'm just doing that to throw everybody off. Tatsuko makes all of your creatures with power or toughness 1 or less unblockable. Don't forget, you can do large meat, tiny booty gang, still unblockable. We're past Planeswalkers, so this is our first deck without a Jace Wielder of Mysteries in it. So we got there. This has a spread like I'd want to see in Yuriko. Lots of little 1-drops that all get in for free, which is interesting already to me, because evasion. But if you have Tatsuko, what do you need that for? I guess it can be like a backup plan if people are dead set on removing Tatsuko from the board.
I feel like one of my biggest worries would be that Tatsuko is removed in combat, right? Mm-hmm. And then you just get like completely obliterated. So I love the idea that some of those creatures have like their own protection, and you just double up.
Let's see. Curie is a very, very fun new card for...
Oh yeah, Cheezus is indeed in the chat, which is the person who submitted this deck list.
Hey.
So feel free to chat. I'll mention the things that you post as well. So feel free, give us your thoughts and insights. We would love to hear it.
Yes, Curie is great. This is just like, it's great if you love mono blue, deal little damage, draw a card. And it seems perfect in this. I'm sure that was a nice surprise when Fallout came out for Cheezus to add to this deck. I feel like not enough people are playing Ghostly Pilferer. Don't forget that as long as you play it early, you just draw a card for every player that plays their commander. And like Cascade and Impulse Draws and I don't know, lots of things that like battle. Nobody's playing battles, but that would trigger it.
In fact, you recently played that on a game number 46. I think you cheated. Veggie specifically put that in his deck when we played a all partners game.
Yeah, you can draw for each partner.
And so Veggie was just drawing cards left and right because we all had 2 partners. So yeah, Ghostly Pilferer is pretty sweet. And there are some decks that also just don't cast cards in the same way, and those also trigger. It's not just commanders.
Let's see. Yeah, so like this whole first half is all just little guys that are either drawing you cards in some way or another, or giving you a layer of protection with, you know, can't be countering something that targets your stuff, countering an instant or sorcery. This, I think you can pump something else up. It's a like proactive but super interactive game plan. I am all about that. Yeah, it's just draw card, draw card, draw card, draw card.
Notably, like, Prosperous Thief doesn't really work with Tatsuko, but, like, your other creatures are evasive on their own, so it can get in whenever one or more ninjas, so it doesn't really need, if you have other ninjas, which I'm sure there's a few.
Well, it's ninja or rogue, because they were
Tatsuko
nice to
rogue,
you. Yeah, they were nice to you in Kamigawa, and they were like, we would like this to work with other things. And like a lot of things are randomly rogues, like what Mastermind is and some other stuff. So you get some decent value out of this. Play more Nimble Obstructionist. A 3/1 flyer is already good. It's a 3/1, so that is then unblockable. But also the number of things that you can counter with this that then somebody's like, I have no way to interact with this because you've done a cycling ability to stop my Crater Hoof. I can't even counter that or anything. It's amazing. Play this card.
That is a lot of instants, but we'll get there. So sorceries, we got 5 of them.
Yeah, just, I guess, making things a little smoother. Draw card, fix card, draw card, fix card. See, returning instants or sorceries. I don't think these are in here for any other reason besides being, like, kind of a toolbox. I don't think there's, like, combos or stuff for these, but let me know if I'm wrong, Cheezus. And then Notorious Strong is... I always think this spell is funny because you have, like, this big block of text. It's like, oh, all right, I get to make some 1/1s with flying, so I gotta deal some damage. Oh, and then, like, hidden at the bottom, also take an extra turn.
22 instants. With some beautiful altars in here. I'm wondering if is this the default that Moxfield put in for us, or are these the ones that were put in from my export?
I don't believe that it defaults to a lot of these. It definitely doesn't default to any non-English ones.
Okay.
So these were, I think, Cheezus choices.
Because some of these are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
This is the actual deck prints. That's amazing. That counterspell is great. The Cyclonic Rift. I like the new Cal Rift. That's the Cyclonic Rift I got now.
Mm.
So that's a cool one, but it's no Cal Rift.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is what's, with all of this excellent interaction, I think I would be less worried about my Tatsuko going away. So I know I got a handful of cards from all these things drawing me stuff. That convinces me more, if I'm running this, to swap my my little 1-drops out for all utility, and not worrying about any of the evasion. Although, like, it may just be that those don't exist, but that would be the thing I would be searching for to see if I could optimize there.
But it seems like we have the full package. We've got removal and card draw and all of the things you could want.
Yes.
High and low.
You don't get to run Azor too often because either you're a blue deck that wants to counter things and not have permanents on the board, or you're a blue deck that has permanents on the board and
that wants to have them.
Yeah. But this is ideal here because you have a lot of little guys that you can throw away, and this one has been has been spoiled. There's just a better version of this coming up in Modern Horizons 3.
Okay.
It's free if you sacrifice a creature.
Oh.
So yeah, just counter a, well, it might be counter a non-creature spell, but that'll be a nice add to that when that comes out. Are there any other, like, creature-y counter spells or interaction that I could think of that would make this Nope, can't think of any. This is pretty. This is pretty good. Oh. Cyber conversion, cyber something. It's from Doctor Who. That would be great here. It's 2 blue mana instant. Flip target creature face down, and it becomes a 2/2 Cyberman. So it's like, it's premium removal that gets around death triggers, that bricks commanders because they can't put it back into the command zone. Cyber conversion. Oops. Here I can. Oh, I guess I could. Oh yeah, I could bring it up on the thing too. But yeah. Yes, cyber conversion. You're turning the creature face down, so canceling out completely. You know, they do get a 2/2 out of it, but it doesn't die. You know, you be indestructible. This would be, I think, excellent here.
Until you Cyclonic Rift it back to their hand and they get the full shebang back.
Sure, but at that, I think if I'm fine with it if I've resolved it as a Cyclonic Rift. But that, I think, is the only cool mono blue thing that I'm not seeing here that I like to run for my interaction.
I would like to wonder about Sapphire Medallion. Is your mana cost high enough for this to be a card in your deck?
Well, it being a monocolor does help, but let's see how many spells does this not help out at all? Because I think you have a good point.
Like, everything is 2 or like 1, 2, or 3. Like, you have 1 thing that costs more than 4, 2 things that cost 4. It feels like I wouldn't be willing to put a spot in my deck for that.
I totally would, even if all my stuff costs 2, because it scales with the number of things that you're playing. Not like that's the difference. Like, it's multiple mana. On turn 3, it doubles your mana if you're playing 3 2-cost spells.
Yeah, but it's a complete brick after turn, 6.
I guess because this deck draws cards so aggressively, I could see a case for it. My thought, which I guess is not the thought that I thought you thunk, was there are a lot of spells here that does not affect it all.
Yes, because there's just too many things with double blue pips or 1 blue pip. And I think that's true for the instance as well. We saw, I don't know about Brainstorm, but it was like Ponder and other things as well. I feel like there is a too large of a percentage of the game in which it is not useful. I agree. If you're playing it on turn 2, drawing it somewhere between turn 4, before turn 4, then that's good. But after that, I think I'd rather draw something else, like a counter or...
I mean, you could say that about Llanowar Elves, too.
But those decks usually have 7 dinosaurs in there that all Crater Hoof and things like that. We're not doing that in this deck. Like, drawing a Llanowar Elf on turn 5 and 7 is usually, you still have big spells you're trying to get out in green.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, I think I'm getting more confident that I like this in here. Because of the number of spells that you are likely to be casting. Because you're keeping your hand full all the time. But... I can see the argument against. Also, I guess because there's not really much ramp in here at all. Not that you really need it, but
another no soul ring.
Yeah, another no soul ring. We are 0 for 3.
Well, 0 for 3 or 3 for 3.
Yeah. We're 1.5 for 3.
I was thinking 3 for 3 for not including it.
Yeah. Okay, so here's maybe something. The Thought Vessel here, of course, the no max hand size is the important part. Because I think you're consistently going to have a ton of cards in your hand. But also, as we kind of discussed-ish, the pips are very important. It is very pip intensive. You're playing a lot of specifically blue mana. I would consider swapping this out for Decanter of Endless Water, I think is the card. Yeah. That it does cost 1 more, but gives you blue mana. and no max hand size.
I am probably less worried only because it is a monocolor deck. And, like, we did see some double blue pips, but I feel like there's probably a lot of basic islands in this.
Yeah. Bident of Thassa is exactly the kind of effect you want in here. There's a new ship or something, right? There's a vehicle that has this effect on it that was in Ixalan that might be, I'm also already seeing, like, Coastal Piracy and Reconnaissance Mission down here, but as like your fourth copy of this effect, it exists. It's a 4-mana vehicle from Lost Caverns, that is also whenever a creature you control deals combat damage. It's a forced draw. I see. I guess that's fair.
Oh, he changed his mind. I like this. Well done, Cheezus.
I'd have to play the deck. I'd have to play the deck a bunch, but if you're saying it was that big of a problem, that does make me happy because it means you're drawing an absurd number of cards. But
which makes me like Medallion more. I just didn't think the card draw would be that much of a difference in the late game.
Yes.
Let's move on to the enchantments. We are going slightly over on these.
Yeah.
It's the little onigiri. I love that art. That's my avatar on Arena.
I'm just now registering. You said we're going a little over on these. Do you mean a
time-wise?
Okay.
We
that's
are
what I was
1.5 deck techs behind.
Okay.
Which is not a problem. That just means you guys get to hang out and listen to us ramble even more.
My initial look at this deck, I was like, ooh, all right, great. Combat Research, Curiosity, love both these cards. Why not run Curious Obsession, which is a in many respects more powerful, more optimal version. And it was like, oh, because it gives you +1/+1, which negates the unblockable from Tatsuko. So that's why you don't run that.
We figured it out.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, Witness Protection. It's funny to me because you're mono blue. At a certain point, you have to just take what you can get, and 1 mana to nullify a creature is great. Okay.
28 lands.
28 lands.
We are drawing a crap ton of cards, but that seems a little low even for me.
28 lands does scare me. When I'm building decks that have low land counts, I also literally consider the number of spells that I can play that help me to get lands. So they have considered this as opt here, ponder, preordain. So I count those each as a half of a land. So to me, this is an effective 30 lands.
I do this for limited when I'm building my mana bases. Yeah. In my commander decks, I just go on vibes.
Fairy Seer is your 5th one that helps you to get to a land on at 1 mana. And that is that. Mystic Grimoire, I get, yes, Mystic Grimoire, I would say, okay, so we're at 6.
Did you do Research and Curiosity?
No, because you cannot, that is not a card that on turn 1 helps you get to more lands.
On turn 1, no, but on turn 2, when you need the land, presume you played a 1-drop this thing attack.
Yes, but
so like it helps you hit that 2-drop land onto.
That makes sense, but I can't include it in my math because that requires a 2nd card for it to function.
Yes. I would give it, can you give it a partial? Just for my sake?
I'll give it a quarter of a land.
Woo!
So that is 1/2 of the, if you put those combined. We had 6 others, so that brings me to 31.5 lands. I still, I think for my sanity, I would still at that point put, I would up this to 30 actual lands.
Yeah, me too. I guessed it right. I think 30, we also, to note, like, it doesn't need it because it's not a great card in this, but like Soul Ring and like a lot of the rocks were actually not in this as well. So I would want to go up a little bit in that regard as well, just to keep those things reasonable.
Yeah. Now granted, it does sound like this deck has been play tested pretty thoroughly, but like that is so tough to be like, yes, 28 actual pieces of land cardboard and a bunch of them are fetch lands. So like, if it works, it works. I think I would just be sweating every time I pulled this deck out. So
I think the saving grace is the card draw, which you and Cheezus both seem to agree is astronomically high. So that's probably why it will run better than it feels. But let's go ahead and move on first to the number one thing you would fix or change or alter. I don't like saying fix because sometimes it is actually like a downgrade or there's nothing wrong with it. But for altering's sake, what are you thinking about this deck?
I would look at my 1-drops and see if there were more utility ones like that have stronger effects in exchange for the evasion. But I don't know if that exists. I other than popping in a few lands though, like this whole thing does make me very happy. I think very often I would just shuffle this thing up.
All right, so what is your rating 1 to 10?
I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10. It's mono blue. It's an interesting like approach to that kind of deck. It's a lot of spells that I like to play. I think the thing stopping it from being a 10 out of 10 for me is, could I pull this off without the big blue bangers? Could I still play this Droperistic and Mystic Remora and free counters and still get away with this? Like that to me, for me personally, would be a perfect deck. But those cards are good.
They are good. For me, actually, I've been higher on the other two decks. I'm a little lower on this. Personally, I am a Tatsuko in the 99 girly, more so than in the command zone. I like it when Tatsuko can help synergize with my deck and do cool things, but I don't know that I like him as the main show. So I'm gonna give this a 6 out of 10, and largely that is because that is not my playstyle. The last thing I want to say about this from Cheezus is this was, again, a deck list that was submitted as a deck list patron sponsored episode. So you will see in the next few weeks a game where we play this exact list. So if you want to check it out, you will be able to see this in action, and it's actually piloted by our good friend Malthound. And the theme of the episode, for a little spoiler for those of you guys, because I know Cheezus is here, is breaking the color pie. So we have decks that are designed to do things that color is not typically known for. So this deck is attacking with blue things. Tiny blue things that typically don't attack super well actually are going to be attacking. So every single pod, every single deck in the pod is doing something similar. So, black spells that are countering things or whatever. I'm not going to spoil that whole thing, but I thought it was a very cool and unique deck for a very cool and fun theme. Couple quick questions in the chat. How do you submit deck lists? These are patron deck lists. We do 8 decks. Someone was asking how many. So we are going on to 4. So we have 5 more total. They are submitted ahead of time, and every time we get 8 deck lists, we do one of these streams over the weekend. So if you guys would like to get your deck list featured on today's show, or even featured on Decked Out, you guys can head on over to our Discord, ask questions, or head over to Patreon, where you can submit monthly deck lists. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next deck. This one was submitted by Red Cheezus. Cheezus. And we're going to be looking at an Alenda and Azor deck. Words.
Alenda and Azor. All right, this is a good time. It's 6 mana for a 6/6 flying ward 2. This seems like a great place for ward to exist on a 6 mana creature. Yes, I agree. And when it attacks, you can pay X and 3. If you do, you draw that many cards, and then at the beginning of each end step, you can pay 4 life, and that gets you 1/1s equal to the number of cards you've drawn this turn. So it like kind of churns through itself because there's creatures also have lifelink. So it's like, okay, swing, pay mana, draw cards. End step, pay life, make 1/1s. That will then give me that life back. We are 3 for 4 for Jace, Wielder of Mysteries.
So this is the #1 most popular card in 8 deck lists. So maybe we should we buy a bunch of these out on TCG Player? Like, is the price about to go up or something?
You know what? It just means that that our community is the best community because I like this card. You all play good Magic. And then okay, we also have Teferi, who cares about draws, and hey, if you can just pay X and draw X cards, then that seems pretty good. This card always I'm always conflicted about it for Commander because like it gets counters so fast because of just caring about draws, but then the -12 only hits one opponent, which like you're getting rid of your Teferi for just ruining one person's life. I still play it, but I think about that. I'm like, I wish this did like something lesser to all opponents.
All right, let's look at the creatures. I noticed some of my favorites in here. I'm a big Esper girly, so this list speaks to me.
Yeah, lots of gain little life, sacrifice creature for value, make little guys.
Yeah, woo! Good job, Red. Love the list. Also, Charismatic Conqueror is like one of my most favorite cards from the last few sets, or last few like weeks of decked out. Mm-hmm. I've popped off with that card so many times. Also, like Quasar, favorite draft archetype and card in that set. Great. That's all I want to be doing in life.
Just grinding out the value.
Yeah.
It's very funny. We just had the Nitpicking Nerds here, and I was talking to them about Charismatic Conqueror, and we're like, hey, so like, this is a bad card.
No.
Well, okay, hold on, wait.
Hey.
Hold on. So let me finish.
Get out. Airball's gonna take your spot.
The three of us were like, yes, actually, this card is a bad card, but it is bad because it relies on your opponents to make the right decision. And therefore is not that bad. It's actually, in practice, is really good because often your opponents will not make the right decision and you just end up with a ton of stuff. So like,
is that why it's so good for me? Because I play with you?
Yes. So I'm like, whatever. I'm not thinking about the future. Just get your 1/1. I wanna use my thing right away. The card is excellent, but like if everybody played optimally, it would be awful. Yes, this is all a little machine of grinding out value, crunch your creatures and gain life, and then turn that life into things, and then turn those card draws into things.
I'm gonna lock in my answer right now. 10 out of 10. Let's go.
Rafine with Alenda and Azor is just, that's dirty. Like, that's because the direct synergy of, oh great, Rafine will draw me a bunch of cards, and then Alenda and Azor will make me a bunch of creatures, and then when I swing with Rafine and those creatures again, then that draws me a million more cards, and it grows exponentially. That is really nice.
And even though there's a little bit of like mixed synergies, it's all the grindy sort of value. We have Quasar, Mirkwood Bats, Sir Conrad, like everything. Oh, mwah. Yes, please. Sign me up.
This is pretty normal. Diabolic Intent is cute because you always going to have a little 1/1 to throw away. The Lich's Knight's Conquest is like the big, big version of that value. Is like you have so many expendable tokens. Let's turn that into all of your best big top end stuff. Also, because you've probably pitched them all to Rafine or Obsessive Stitcher, things like that. So they're easily accessible. That's probably a huge swing in the game when you cast it.
Oh God, traumatized. Why is there a Settle the Wreckage? Ah. That card is nightmares. Nightmares. I played a lot of Standard when that was a thing.
Yeah, that's... Ugh.
Yeah. Real rough. Real good in 2HG, notably. I love that format.
Reverse the Polarity is one of my new favorite cards. This is great here. I think probably I would say put this on all of our previous decks since they also have blue. But it's just like, yes, it is exactly what you need when you need it. It's a counter spell. It's a weird thing that nobody cares about, and it's a win condition. All my stuff is unblockable. I feel like I would have. We see like Plum the Forbidden, End of Village Rites. No, no Deadly Dispute. But you only have so many slots.
It didn't seem super token heavy. It had like reassembling skeleton and stuff, so that makes some sense. Oh, but we have like rabble rousing, so there's a lot more there.
Like token heavy.
Well, I just meant like the whole thing was not just mono tokens. There were other things that were synergizing without the tokens.
Oh, I just like it because it gives you that momentary ramp.
Yeah.
Like it's an effect that we've already got, and sometimes it's just like, oh, that
it
one
might be
treasure.
better than one of those. I was just saying that maybe we don't want 3.
We want 3 skull clamps though.
Yeah. Skull clamps are good.
Mm-hmm. And like, again, direct synergy of Alenda and Azor is going to make a bunch of 1/1s, and we can crunch each one of those, and that converts into 2 more 1/1s in addition to those 2 cards.
If you can keep it on the board, yeah, there's a lot. Mm-hmm. And then you also have the Charismatic Conqueror. And Reassembling Skeleton. Mm-hmm. So many. Meat Hook Massacre is cute. And Rabble Rousing. These are fun. Also, like... I think between the 3 of us, we own 0 Meat Hook Massacres, so you'll probably never see it on the show.
Mystic Redaction. This is a card I don't see too often. Discarding card, making each opponent mill 2 cards. I mean, that is cute. But how often is that happening? How often are you discarding cards here? Because I don't think Alenda and Azor by itself does it. I guess you're like if you're discarding 2 hand size. But like the card is cool, but I'm not right away seeing
you have
its
Rafine
purpose.
Is 1.
Is 1, yeah.
I would still need more.
Right.
But what does that look like?
Yeah. And it's the only real mill in this deck, right? There's not like a secondary mill strategy, no synergy with an opponent's graveyard.
Sir Conrad.
Okay, yeah. Now I'm trying to see, is there like a third puzzle piece? Because actually that's really cute if it's like Conrad, you have your thing, mills, Conrad shoots damage. Is there something that says, hey, you dealt damage, draw a card? No. Maybe it'll come to me. Maybe there's something brilliant here. Take a look at these lands for a moment. This is pretty solid.
Looks straightforward. I like there's a creature land.
Oops.
Looks like we've got all of our bases covered with all the pips. We've got shock lands. We have like the a Gonjo, but neither of the other two.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you always have to put a Veggiewagonyee in when possible.
There's something that's like, there's something here that is like not registering in my brain. I mean, there's plenty of those things, but I think this is fine. It seems pretty solid.
36 lands.
Yeah.
What's the? I just want to scroll back up through the mana base here. There's a Soul Ring. No, you ruined it, Red. The first deck with a Soul Ring, but no other rocks. Just the two standard, nothing extra, which seems a little low for you.
Definitely with a 6-mana commander, I would immediately jam all, like, I honestly, this is a deck that will always have something that it can do with extra mana. So I would be like, immediately, all 3 talismans in this, all three signets that are in this, Felwar Stone, like, so that gives you're covered all at 2 mana. I don't know if there are other extra cute ones you could then do, like Thought Vessel and Decanter.
That's too many.
No. And then I would say like 5 or 6 more.
See, I'm on the boat that this is not enough, but I feel like Veggie always wants like 30 rocks in the deck.
Yeah.
That's too many. I would put like, you have 36 lands, that's about where I think I would be, and then I would put like 3 or 4 more rocks. I feel like I would have 5 or 6.
Very honestly, I would add 6 rocks to this, straight up, and then
you would have 8.
Test to see if I wanted more, because like your commander just gets better the more mana that you have, like full stop. I'm happy to just ramp. You know, you also are in 3 colors, so you want to make sure that you can drop a Rafine easily with the pips that you have, and you're drawing a ton of cards. So yeah, you'll always have spells to cast.
All right.
Yeah.
So what's the number one altar you would do here? Rocks?
Absolutely. You have a 6-mana commander. You have with an ability that you can dump mana into. And even like, you know, you have like Reassembling Skeleton and other activated abilities that were hidden in here. That Sir Conrad, that you always have a ton of mana sinks. I think Esper is super powerful when you have a bunch of mana. So like 6-7 more rocks immediately without dropping any lands. That's where I would go.
All right. So rating 1 to 10.
Deck is cool commander. You hit me with a card that I have not had to think about for a long time, so there's points there.
Extra credit.
I think I would be happy to run this thing myself, just subbing out 6 cards for 3 talismans and 3 signets. So I'll give that an 8 out of 10. To me that the missing rocks is a pretty big deal, but the fact that if I just made that swap, I'd be totally happy. Yeah.
I'm close. I'm not as upset about the rocks. That is my number one swap for sure, but I wouldn't go as hard as Veggie. I think I would do 3 to 4, as I mentioned, but for me, 9.5. That's the highest. This is all Nerd Girl all day. I like every single card here. Every single favorite draft card from every set is in this deck. Every single of my favorite deck commanders and archetypes, all in here. I'm all about it. Except for the Settle. I hate that card and it makes me upset, so let's just get rid of that. Oh, that's one of the rocks right there. So 9.5 for me. This deck list, again, was submitted by Red. It's much easier for me to say. Mm-hmm. Thank you so very much for being one of our patrons and supporting our stream and our show. And we look forward to seeing your next deck list. Do you need a break, or are we good to go to our 5th one?
I can do talk about deck, and in fact doing it too much.
You can talk.
I could do this all day.
Okay, hear that, guys? Sign up for our Patreon, and Veggie will be here all day. Yeah. I'm willing to take on the spot decks. But next up, we're going to be talking about a deck list submitted by Broseph Stalin, and that's going to be Ghalta Stampede Tyrant.
This is actually the first time I've ever seen one of these decks in the wild. Everybody was super hype on this when it first came out, and then it was like, where are the Ghalta players? I'm not seeing it, so I'm pumped to take a look through. Ghalta's 8 mana, 12 trample, of course, because it's Ghalta. But this one just lets you put everything, all of your creatures from your hand on the battlefield for free. So there you go. Let's see. Battle. Good. Play more battles. Battles are fun. And they usually do very powerful things, but nobody ever reads the backside. So this one is interesting because it is like already kind of a non-bow. Ghalta, you want to have your big creatures in your hand so that you don't have to pay for them. Invasion of Ikoria is letting you pay extra to put a creature back directly onto the battlefield. Like that's a good effect by itself, but seems at odds with what you're trying to do. Maybe it is there simply to grab you like a little dork or something, and then hope that you can flip it into Zalortha and swing through for free.
Okay,
I can be on board with that. Because if you're putting giant creatures down, you're probably popping this 6 defense. I don't remember what the counters on this are called. With one creature, so that makes sense. You have the wordy Nissa who shakes the world. Big mana makes a lot of sense for this deck. And then Nissa Ascended is the overrun. I'm sure is the important part, but
Nissa, that's me.
Are we gonna get you this big braid for this altar of this alternate art for Nissa who shakes the world?
Maybe. Do I need to just put my hair in a ponytail?
And then we'll get you this one too.
Yeah, I'll take a snake.
Yeah, we'll talk to Z-Bax. See if she can do Phyrexia and Nissa for you.
Creatures. A lot of creatures. I like creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Why is there an Allosaur Shepherd? That's what I want to know.
Trauma. Green spells you control can't be countered. I think would be
the premise.
Would be the relevant part of this.
I'm used to seeing it in like elves and things where I'm like, you don't want your dinosaurs to be 5/5s.
Right? Yeah. I'm sure you don't want any of your stuff in here to be a 5/5, but like that's I'm sure feels awful to cast your 8 mana commander and then somebody go counterspell.
Yeah.
So that's I bet the reason for this.
We got some mana dorks. I like Masked Vandal. That is a card that makes it into a good chunk of my decks, and I feel like I get some hefty value out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like it's deceiving how good it is because like Changeling is often relevant, and then the fact that it exiles the artifact or enchantment, where most things that cost 2 just destroy is really nice.
And then you then are crater hoofing and end razoring, and I feel like people underestimate having that 1/3 on the board.
Yeah. Okay, so like we have the hot top end here of just all-star cast biggest green creatures that exist.
All the thick boys.
From 6 mana up, that's 3, 10, 16 creatures that cost that much. So what's helping us get there? So we have some dorks.
And poison. Dart Frong is a dork.
Yes.
Slavala, I think extra does things, right?
How do I feel about Selvala here? I mean, maybe the card is just good enough to be that you just slap it in mono green and be happy.
Oh, I think Gwenna is also a dork.
Yes. This one for sure I'm happier with because it taps for 2 for, you know, that's a bigger ramp of itself than Selvala, where you're having to pay mana.
Solemn. Sad Robot.
But I think the ability on this triggers slow. Right, when another creature enters the battlefield, if it's greater than either sort of... Yeah, so Selvala, I wish would draw a bunch of cards when you slam Ghalta, but it only ever draw 1. Because of the way that it's worded.
My instinct is that she's still good enough.
My instinct is... Well, there's like a... That's what I'm thinking. There's a 3-mana creature that taps for 3 if it's for a creature. Right? And there's also... I think there's also an elf that does it. I think I... Like... My instinct is that I would rather have either of those to get the pure ramp. But Selvala might just be a good enough card where it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Then you had Sad Robot, Topiary Stomper, also the mana things.
Yes.
So we're good there.
Okay.
Also Goreclaw helps with the mana base as well. I mean, he's not a mana dork, but we'll call him a mana dork.
Yeah. For a deck with 48 creatures, for sure you can count that.
He's a mana bear.
Okay. So a lot of creatures. I would be looking for what keeps your hand full.
Well, you were just pooping on a card that draws you a card, so we can start there.
It draws a card though. Like I
Whenever
guess on your
creature.
way, yeah, on your way up there. But I want to be ramping to Ghalta with my hand full already. Like this, it helps. So that might be the thing that pushes it over the edge.
Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, you play that and you play Goreclaw and then you play a thing and then you just keep. It's keeping your hand full.
Well, it's if its power is greater than each other creature's power, and the creatures in between there are not necessarily the biggest. Like if you're dropping Questing Beast or Hulking Raptor, you're definitely getting the draw. But if the creature in between there is Solemn or Oracle, or Wood Elves, you're not necessarily getting that card draw.
Usually, Veggie just takes like 2 points off of every deck that's not blue because of the blue things. So, this is normal.
I want
blue.
I still feel like I want the big ramp in those positions. What do you think this is here for?
I don't know. Is there mana abilities? Like, do we have things that like can poop out dudes for mana? I feel like we have card draw with Toski as well, but you have so many creatures, I can't imagine you need that mana on your opponent's turn.
Yeah, I don't think I haven't seen anything that is useful on opponent's turns. Allosaurus makes your stuff smaller.
In fairness,
Teamer Sabertooth, I guess, could save your stuff.
In fairness, we're only looking at the creatures, and they're less likely to matter on our opponent's turns than our sorceries, instants, activations for artifacts, things like that.
All right. Well, we only have 2 sorceries and 1 instant. And...
that is very few.
That is very few. But I have to point this out. Like, these cards are very good. Like, these 2 on the outside here. Heroic Intervention. Yeah, of course. Makes sense in mono green. This saves all my big stuff. Excellent. Finale of Devastation. Win con. If I got enough mana, then this just says win the game. And then Primal Surge is a super cool card. 10 mana, and you just start dumping permanents onto the board as long as the top card is a permanent. But every card in this whole deck is a permanent, except for these 3. So
you have 2 cards preventing you from dumping your entire deck. Maybe that's on purpose. Maybe you don't have a lot of ways to win that turn. You don't want to mill yourself out. Does it say you may? Yeah, it says you may put it on the battlefield if you do repeat. Okay, so never mind. You can't do that. It's a may ability, so you don't want things to stop you.
Right. Yeah, because like that to me is like the whole reason to is to play Primal Surge, is to be like, great, I know if I have 10 mana, I can play my whole deck right now.
But that's what I was saying. Like, some decks might be able to give all your creatures haste and win for you on the spot. If this deck didn't have it, then I thought maybe having a failsafe to prevent you from pooping your entire deck out. But because it's a May, you don't need to.
Yeah, and even if it wasn't, like you have Craterhoof and this one doesn't give haste, but Craterhoof only has haste itself.
Neither one of them give haste.
This one, there we go. Serac and Goreclaw gives haste when creatures enter.
So if you don't get that, then if it's one of the last cards in your deck, then you're maybe not winning on the spot either. But either way, it's irrelevant because it's a May, so you just stop when you have 2 cards left. So yeah, why we have these?
Yeah.
Maybe they think one of them is in your hand on average, and then you get enough of your deck to where you're happy.
Yeah. I think like these cards are very good, and odds are Primal Surge will still get you a ton of value.
Yeah.
I would just be very sad if it's like, yes, I finally get to do the thing. 2
creatures and then brick.
And then yes.
Powerful stuff here in the artifacts. Great Henge, Panharmonicon.
Cloudstone Curio, what are you doing with you? This is play something, bounce something of your own.
Eternal Witness, Fierce Empath.
Yeah, you get some little value out of it. I'm trying to think if there's like
Silverback Elder has a good ETB if I remember correctly.
I think it is a cast trigger. Yeah, when you casting creature spells. So like that'll work.
Oh, never mind. It's not when he does it.
Not when he does it, but if he's on the board, if you're chaining creature spells together. Yeah, or I guess if you just have stuff on the board that you want to re-slam with Ghalta.
Someone is suggesting getting to blink the Craterhoof, but I feel like if you've already hoofed once and it didn't die, then and you haven't won yet, what are we doing here?
Right, yeah, because a Cloudstone is not a blink. It is a bounce to hand, so you have to play it again. And Conjurer's Closet is a blink, but is an end step. So, well, here's some haste. We have Concordant Crossroads, so that a little more support to dropping those 2 spells for that thing.
Garruk's Uprising is good card draw. We were looking for that earlier. Tribute to the World Tree as well. Guardian Project. Lots of card draw, actually. I feel like we got a hefty sum.
What is the Helix Pinnacle for? It's a great card. It's an excellent. It's like not good. It's a bad card, but it's a fun and silly and cool card. What are you doing with that in here?
You're just alternate win conning.
Right, but you have to have a somewhat chance of pulling that off. Is there a thing that is generating us a ton of mana? I guess Selvala starts tapping for like 12 once you have Ghalta on board.
Does one of the Vorinclexes double mana? Is that a thing? Am I misremembering? I feel like we have.
Oh, okay. I'm starting to put some pieces together here. You have Selvala, you have Cloudstone Curio. So if Concordant Crossroads is on the board, that's infinite a bunch of stuff. Because you're playing Selvala, tapping for 1,000,000 mana, playing a spell, bouncing Selvala, playing Selvala, tapping for 1,000,000 mana, etc., etc. So maybe that is an alternate.
You're gonna spaz people out here. Right. He's just like.
Yes. If you were not following that, so that I'm starting to understand some of these pieces. I think. Since Cloudstone Curio allows you to bounce your own stuff, we also see that there is Temur Sabertooth that has a similar ability to bounce your own creatures.
Whenever another creature, what does it do? Whenever you may return a creature to the owner's hand. If you do, it gains indestructible. So you're playing the Selvala, using some of its mana to bounce and then replay, make more. Okay,
right.
Got it. Yep.
Yes, because you have the Concordant Crossroads to give it haste.
So we have, and there was one other creature, the
Serac.
Yep.
Yes.
So there are 2 things that make but is Selvala the only piece that fits that part of the puzzle, or is there something else like Seedborn Muse? That's why it's in there.
I'm missing it. Then what is the?
We're talking about why is that land or why is that enchantment in there? You pay X and put counters on it.
Oh.
And if you Seedborn Muse every turn, you're like, okay, 15 more counters, okay, 15 more counters. It's not perfect, but like it's another piece that's not Solvala.
Okay, I can be on board with that. I was very confused at first because you're like, is there another piece like that? And I was like, well, I don't think there's anything else that taps for more than it costs. Like to do another infinite loop. But like, oh, you mean is there just another? Yes, that gives you a good amount of mana to pump into Helix Pinnacle every turn.
We've definitely seen Seedborn Muse last on the show for multiple rounds. I think you tried to Blue Sun Zenith for like 60.
Yeah, it was great.
It wasn't. It got countered.
But it was great thinking about what could have
happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, there are 34 lands in this. That seems low.
I mean, in green it's less low, right? You have this. They seem like they have an appropriate amount of dorks. I don't remember seeing the rocks situation, but I feel like you can get away with a few less.
I would say yes if I wasn't running an 8-mana commander that my deck is built like to really take advantage of. Like, I want to make sure that I am dropping my big old threats or my chunky commander as early as I possibly can. I want to make sure that I'm not missing any land drops between turn 1 and when I'm able to do that. Especially considering there are no rocks.
I'm gonna take this from you.
You're
You're just going up and down very fast.
there's no rocks. There are no ramp spells. There are 2 dorks, that are 2 1-mana dorks.
This is another one without Soul Ring.
Yeah.
4 out of 5. Is that what we're at now?
Good job, everybody.
Sheesh. Someone also mentioned Nyx Bloom, which I did not see in here, which makes everything tap for triple as well. It was another piece of the make mana bit.
Yes, that allows you to do that combo with a bunch of other things.
Cool. So there are a lot of pieces for that artifact or enchantment. Do you like it a little bit more now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Because that's not something I've ever seen before, so that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We've taken a look at the mana base and everything, and creatures and all of the bits. What is your number one thing to alter if you were going to shuffle up and play this deck?
Put another color in it.
He says that every time it doesn't have blue.
I will admit it's a little harder for me to assess a mono green deck because it is very far from what I do, and the only one that I've ever built was still very not mono green. I do think I like the kind of wild little infinite machine that's hidden in here.
Primal Surge, maybe get rid of these. Would that be your number one choice?
I think so. Even if to lose 2 really good cards, like getting to Primal Surge your deck is really cool. Like that is what I want to do if I'm playing green. So for sure I'm cutting those 2 to make it entirely permanence. And adding, I would up the land count. I want to guarantee that I'm hitting lands on every turn. And I think those 2 dorks, there's 2 3-mana dorks that tap for 3. It's like Elves of Llanowar, some play on Llanowar elves, and Somberwald Sage, I want to say, is the name of the card.
Are you talking about the green one that taps for 3, the one that's 3 Llanowar elves together?
Yes.
Okay.
That one and Somberwald Sage, because that gets you, you do that, like you just imagine that curve of Llanowar elves on 1 and one of those darks on 2, and on turn 3 you're tapping for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. You are almost at Ghalta time on turn 3. Yeah.
All right, so you would add rocks and mana dorks and land. What is your rating 1 to 10?
1. It's mono green. It's a good time. It's not my style. It's not my style, and I think hurting my heart more with that Primal Surge that is not a pure Primal Surge puts it at like a 4 out of 10 for personal veggie score.
Woof. Okay. Well, I'm going to be more generous because I do love me a mono green deck. And you have so many cards here, Broseph Stalin, that I adore. Like, not just the heavy hitters, but also the, like, smaller ones that are just, like, sort of utility or helpful. I mean, Masked Vandal we talked about, and Solemn Simulacrum. I feel like when Solemn is good and playable, that's the level of Magic I like to play. When you start to remove him, then I start to be sad and enjoy those games less.
Yes. I agree with that statement in a bubble, and I will try not to say anything else about it.
You hate me.
No, I think the Solemn is an immediate cut in this deck, but
every time I build decks for the show, Veggie poops on them and says we shouldn't play them. And then I like some of the big heavy hitters too. Like, it's not just Hoof, because that's in everything, but like Defiler Vigor, that's really cool. The Nyxborn Ancient, I think that was really cool. The Sorokin Goreclaw. So for me, I think this is a fun deck. I like creatures and I like putting them into the red zone, and that's exactly what this deck wants to do. So I'm gonna give it, I'm the opposite. I say get rid of the Primal Vigor. That's too cute. We don't need that.
Oh, the Surge, yeah.
And then we just use Great Henge and kill people, stomp them in the face with dinosaur feet.
I mean, that's probably the better answer, because like Heroic Intervention and Finale Devastation are really good. But
so I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. So Broseph Stalin, little different here, but that is normal for us. And I would be honored to shuffle up this anytime. Okay, we ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye, Ghalta Stampede Tyrant. We love you very much, or I do. Veggie doesn't. Next up, we have Sauron the Dark Lord, and this is submitted by TheTwilightSovereign. A longtime patron of the show, so special shout out to TwilightSovereign. We appreciate you.
Sauron the Dark Lord, good old Grixis, million words, do everything, win game. It's 6 mana for a 7/6. The ward cost is sacrifice a legendary artifact or legendary creature.
That's hard to do.
That is hard to do. Usually it just means, well, if you want to target this, your commander goes away. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you amass Orcs 1, so you make a 1/1 Orc, or if you already have that out, then you just add counters to that Orc. Whenever an army you control deals combat damage to a player, the ring tempts you. The Orc that you amass is an army. And then whenever the ring tempts you, you may discard your hand if you do draw 4 cards. So it's a little cascade of, great, did you cast spells? I make a big thing. Now I'm going to swing that big thing at you, and that will cause the ring to tempt me, and now I can refresh my hand if I want.
Okay. So we got a full suite of Planeswalkers here, a lot of them, but no Jace. Weird.
Yeah.
This person didn't get the memo.
It's probably good not running triple blue Jace in Sauron the Dark Lord, but this maybe makes some more sense to run it in it because you're drawing a bunch of cards constantly. Okay. I don't see the immediate synergy here. Like, 5 Planeswalkers is more Planeswalkers than average, I think.
So 4 out of the 5 of them make creature tokens. And I'm cheating a little bit by looking ahead, but there's only 4 creatures in the deck. So I'm wondering if there are things that work with creature tokens in some way.
It's a distinct possibility.
Like some sort of like semi-Super Friends version of the deck. There's not quite enough for it to be Super Friends, but I doubt it's a coincidence that these Planeswalkers make creatures and we don't really have any in the creature slot.
Yeah. I'm also trying to see if there's a cute Nicol Bolas Dragon God thing, since he absorbs all of the other powers. But I don't think so. I think it's just, here's some cool Planeswalkers that are good.
Okay.
That's my assessment so far. Okay, the only 4 creatures in the deck.
Keep it going.
Clever Impersonator. Also one of my favorite cards. Because it's a copy of anything that you want at all, including Planeswalkers or my opponent's stuff. Yeah, I'll take that. And 3 Praetors. And these are all flip ones. I don't know if that is relevant. what game plan do they play into? Both Urabrask and Jin Gataxias want you to be playing non-creature spells, instants and sorceries, and with a quick look, we do have a decent amount of those. I guess I feel like I don't. At a quick glance, I don't see a lot of low-cost spells, so Urabrask is going to be hard to transform. Jin Gataxias,
Oh.
a little less. Oh,
Someone's alarm's going off. Sorry, guys.
excuse me, everybody. This might just be round 2 of, hey, these cards are cool, I'd like to play them.
Yeah, I think that's the vibe I'm getting from this deck between the Planeswalkers and the Praetors. But, I mean, I'm kind of here for that. I mean, all of these cards I like. Just, peeking down at the sorceries, I'm still getting a similar vibe.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Sorceries. So we have some amass in here to go along with it. Ring Tempt to synergize. By the way, everybody, the ruling is, because amass came up in War of the Spark and you were making zombie armies.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an army that is either a zombie army or an orc army and you amass the other type, it just smushes together and you get one zombie orc army. So they do like work together and it's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. And we'll have to see what your fabricate targets are here, but yeah, this also just seems like cards I'd like to play with like these 4 being synergistic pieces. Interaction, more cards that are cool to play and win game.
2 spell doublers, right? Teach by Example and Twinferno. What are we spell doubling?
Yeah, and these are what specifically your own. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's.
And card draw stuff is good. Hostile negotiations, but is there a premium hit here?
I mean, your most expensive spell is 5. It's just these 3. This is a board wipe, so unless you're making 3 tokens, that's not the best.
I mean, it could turn that into a better board wipe, but at that point, why aren't you just running a black board wipe?
Yeah.
Because it deals 5, right? So you could double it, deal 10, but again, we can make the same effect with 1 card instead of 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really seeing what I want these double spell doublers for.
I'm going to slowly scroll up for you because I want to recheck Sauron to see if there's.
You can scroll up quickly. You just can't keep doing it. Not stop.
Sometimes I have to look at a card really quick that's at the top, and then another one that's at the bottom.
And then another one that's at the top, and then another one that's at the bottom, and then another one that's at the top, and then at the bottom, and then top.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'm not seeing the numbers yet. But these are all spells that by themselves do a fine thing. These are. I guess that's. What was I saying? I don't know.
Spell doublers, nothing worth it. Take them out. Put them something good in.
Because for a moment I was thinking there are a couple modal things here, so they are more likely to be a reasonable copy in a pinch, but.
But you can't change usually with modal spells, when you want to be able to pick and choose multiple different versions of it, but you get stuck on the same one.
I just mean that okay, this is a counter spell, and also, if this was any other counter spell, then my copy would be dead because I don't care about copying the counter, but since it has that dual purpose, that gives it a little bit more utility.
Okay.
Well, we have Mana Rock, so this deck is a 10 out of 10.
This is the first deck with a reasonable suite of rocks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean Grixis Grixis struggles with mana consistently and also wants to spend a lot of it. So we have the Sauron and Arcane Signet. We have the full set of talismans. We do not have the signets, so 9 out of 10. Stockpile's a fun one.
Hi, baby.
Yeah, I think it's just more, play card, do good. Hemi, help me out here.
Hemi, what's good? Should we keep them? Should we keep those cards?
He's tired.
He's been napping behind us.
Okay.
38 lands. You love this deck.
That's good. And I think the 38 lands here is especially relevant since you have an expensive commander, and that commander can then cycle your hand if you just draw into lands. Yeah. So I'm happy with that.
Anytime you're not punished for having extra lands, the better.
Mm-hmm. Looks like you have a pretty good spread of all the pips that you need. My immediate reaction was like, I don't know if I like the reveal lands here, but it's running more basics than I would have expected, and you have these duels, so I guess that can work. That seems good. You're also doing the checks, so I think I'm happier with this mana base if it has like shock lands or something, just more, or even the surveil lands, something that some more of the duels, so that you're able to consistently get your check lands and reveal lands to work. But otherwise, seems fine. 38 lands, good job.
38 lands and rocks. It's like, ooh, look, I like this card.
This one?
Yeah, that's fun.
Oh, because you're a mean person?
I am a mean person. I drafted that every time I could. What? What's wrong with Painful Quandary?
That's a mean card.
It's fun.
I didn't say it wasn't fun. This is mean. Okay. So that is the deck list.
So, do we have a good answer for why there are so few creatures?
All I can say, I guess, is you have a commander that makes big creature.
Okay.
But
I feel like if you can't keep your commander on the battlefield, you're just going to be like pretty helpless a good chunk of the time.
I mean, I'm hoping that this helps. You know, the suite of counter spells, and the ward. But it does seem like, why not have more creatures? Why not have
Someone said, check the tokens. There are 14 kinds. Yeah. Well, we knew that so a lot of them are like the Planeswalker ultimates. Those don't count. The Monarch and the Ring. Those don't count.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything I'm unsure about in there.
Mm-hmm.
But okay. Here's maybe the thing. It's Sauron the Dark Lord. It doesn't really matter. This card is nuts. It's so good. It does so many things that you can just take the cards you want to play, regardless of synergy or, having a bunch of creatures or whatever, and just have a good time. Because this does look like, hey, I've picked some cards that I think are really cool and fun, and we're gonna sit them behind Sauron and enjoy ourselves.
And some Planeswalkers and some Praetors. That's not a bad fort to make.
Right.
A little pillow fort of power. I think this deck looks really cool. Is there any changes you would make before shuffling this up yourself?
I think with that mentality, no.
Okay.
I mean, it's just it is what it is. Here's a bunch of spells. They are fun. We're gonna see what happens, and Sauron's gonna do his thing.
1 to 10. Veggie scale 1 to 10.
I'm gonna give this a 6 out of 10, because that is pretty. It's definitely a different deck building approach than I usually take. It is the opposite. I will pick a lot of things that I think are fun and interesting cards, but specifically because they have a lot of cute synergy, or because they are not good and I want to play with them. But this has a lot of good cards, but aside from this amass tech of combining your orcs and zombies, is just like, hey, I'm gonna cast a bunch of spells, they're gonna do what they do, and we're not really concerned about the synergy of it. They'll get themselves there on individual value. Just not how I build my commander decks. So I would be sitting there like, where's the cute stuff that causes me to lose, but it makes me happy. So 6 out of 10.
All right, so this is going to be the first time I think we are on the same page. I love the suite of sorceries and instants because I kind of want to just sit back and hang out while my opponents let me Sauron, right? I want the opponents to do the work while I counter magic their stuff, because that doesn't stop me from doing the Sauron thing. I want to have iteration and draw cards and removal, and I love the suite of that. My concern is that you don't really have the things to protect yourself in the meantime. Now, Nerd Girl, we have a bunch of planeswalkers that make creatures, and I can sit behind those all day while my opponents do things. But I think that's the problem we had earlier, where planeswalkers are too typically powerful if left alone for too long, so it just makes you a target immediately. People don't like to let those planeswalkers hang out. And you're like, okay, well, in limited or standard, you think, well, these protect themselves because they make a creature. That's cool. They protect you against one person. They protect the planeswalker against one person, but not 3 people who are all aiming at your commander, which means you just do a whole lot of nothing, and then they play Sauron, and you play Sauron, and they hope it's enough. So I would swap some, if not most, of all these planeswalkers out for a little bit more utility creatures or instants and sorceries that made things that were powerful and would protect me without becoming the threat, if that makes sense. That's where my head's at. So I'm going to give it the same score, actually. 6 out of 6. I think this is the first time we've agreed.
Wow, 100%?
Yeah, for different reasons.
You gave it full marks?
What? 6 out of 6. 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. But I actually like the deck in general more than you. I'm okay with, for me, I think like the Praetor theme is cute. The Planeswalker theme is cute. So I actually like the deck a little bit more. It's just not how I would want to make my playstyle for this commander personally. But special thank you to TheTwilightSovereign again for submitting it. I think this is a super cool commander, and I do love your take on the build. Leave us a comment. Let us know a little bit more about what you're thinking with these planeswalkers, because I would love to hear it. How you doing? Talk card good? All right. Real quick, just want to answer the questions for a couple people in the channel. People asking, how do you submit these decks? These are submitted through our Patreon, and they're submitted in advance. Our patrons can submit... patrons of the appropriate tier can submit deck lists every single month, and as soon as we get 8 deck lists, we will do one of these live streams over the weekends for you guys. So if all of you guys sign up, we'll do another one.
Yep, that's how it works. Next
weekend, or Saturday and Sunday, whatever it takes. So let's jump into the next one. This one is submitted by TarBeast, one of our longtime patrons. So big special thank you and shout out to TarBeast. Take it away.
This is Gollum Obsessed Stalker. 2 mana 1/1 with Skulk. Can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. Beginning of your end step. All right, hold on, because this is worded like correctly, but it's a little confusing, or it was to me at first. The beginning of your end step, each opponent dealt combat damage this game by a creature named Gollum Obsessed Stalker loses life equal to the amount of life you've gained this turn. So
you have to gain life and you have to connect.
Right. All you have to do is hit each opponent with your Gollum 1 time, and then you just gain life, and they lose that at your end step.
As long as Golem's in play.
Yes.
But they only have to have taken the damage that game, not that turn. So that's cute, right?
Yeah, as long as you've connected once at all, then yes.
Okay. I'm trying to think if there are cards, like, I know there's, like, a red card, like, I know this is a draft card, but, like, Prickly Quillbeast or something. It's an evolve.
Oh.
That makes the creature tap and ping for everything. You could ping everything.
This does specify combat damage, so
oh,
yeah.
Boo.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. Okay.
Yes, because
what about Lizard? Is that considered combat damage? Mushu.
Lizard is a little vague.
But it's the same lizard.
You know, creature.
The
you know,
lizard that keeps popping up in
spell,
all of our...
the spell that does that.
It's popped up in so many episodes lately. The little lizard that whenever you deal combat damage, it also deals combat damage to everybody else.
It doesn't also deal combat
That's what
damage.
I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay, it just deals that much damage to others.
Mm-hmm.
Boo! I'm trying to break it. I'm not very good at that, obviously.
Yeah, this one is very hard to get around. Hopefully, if there is a way to do it, then we'll see it in the deck list, but I am almost positive that there is not.
Also, I'm hoping there's not, because that'd be kind of gross. But life gain decks, yay! I automatically get points from me.
Yeah, it's funny because it just turns only life gain, straight up life gain, into your win condition. As long as you've gotten the one little touch.
Boop. Just a little snoot boop.
All right. Yeah, I think we're gonna see a lot of cards that you've drafted before because we're in mono black that needs to try to aggressively gain life, but also have weird ways to sneak a creature in. So I think it's gonna be a deep dive on some cards here, Diamond Mare to get that one life gain trigger. Why is it not staying up? There we go.
It'll stay up if you don't touch other cards.
I always liked this in there was some sort of combo with this in draft. I don't remember because it's been printed in like 2 sets recently. Where it cared about the amount of life that you're gaining specifically. So like paying the 3 to gain 6, who cares? But the game has seen you gain 6 life.
So I use that with like Griffin Eerie and like Resplendent Angel, stuff like that in those decks. I think that's very fun.
Like that's a good deal for your 2-drop.
Especially because it's a lot of those abilities are like once per turn, so you can like attack with your life linkers, but then on their turn Tavern Swindler, and you're like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. Are we doing anything mean and nasty with Grey Merchant? Are we like flickering it and doing scary things, or is it just a one and done life gain trigger?
I think it's a mono black deck, but I think you play it because it's a good card. I don't see anything here. You could ninja it, I guess.
Twilight Prophet, that's a recurring life gain. Vampire Nighthawk, recurring.
Mm-hmm.
Trespasser, also recurring. It's only 1, but it does the thing.
Oh.
Shieldred as well.
There we go. I was like, this is weird. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to do some brain here. The creatures all seem very focused on the life gain portion. I'm not seeing anything here that helps us to sneak Gollum in. Although it does have Skulk, so like it just might just get there on its own.
Also, I wouldn't expect to see a lot of that in the creature base. I would expect to see that in like Rogue's Passage, Access Tunnels, things like that, where like there aren't a lot of creatures in black that are going to make other things unblockable.
Yeah. And I was hoping to see more things like the Tavern Swindler that gives you a big chunk of life, but I think this is just a different approach than I expected, because it's a lot of smaller, like, hey, here's ping, 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 gain a little life. Here's ping, 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 gain a little life, gain a little life, gain a little life. I guess, like Nighthawk Scavenger, if that's large, turning that sideways does it, but you're just getting your incremental value.
I mean, Grey Merchant will be a lot as well. Veto won't be, right? Because it's only vampires that it's doing.
No. This is
just creatures. Okay, that's a crap ton. Yeah, that's a crap ton.
Yeah.
Shieldred. That's a hefty amount of recurring damage.
Okay.
We don't have the... Oh, never mind. I'm looking at the wrong thing.
I mean, of course, yeah. Exsanguinate and Drain Life, definitely things that we were going to see in here.
Blood Tithe is, what, 6 mana each? Oh, no, you gain life equal to what's lost. So if you have all of your opponents, they're taking 12.
Yes.
That's pretty cute for 4 mana. I like that.
Yeah. Or that's, I mean, that's very funny, the Blood Tribute, because your opponent loses half their life if you kick it, of course, and you gain that much. Then Gollum says, oh, that amount, that was half of your life, now we goodbye.
Goodbye, yeah, you're just dead. Cute. Which will actually just be like a table kill sometimes if you're targeting the person with the most, right? Because if Gollum has hit everybody, everybody's also still taking that. And assuming that some people are under half of whatever the highest player is, you can just get 2 or all 3 players that way if you time it right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like these are the starts. We're getting some of the effects I was hoping for out of the creatures, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, here we go. Yeah, like Tendrils of Corruption for big, life gain equal number of swamps that you have.
I don't know that there are creatures that do that though.
Yeah, I was hoping that there would be.
Fair.
That's funny. Here's some extra credit. This is a card that I did not know existed.
Huh. That is cute. For 3 mana, you could obliterate the whole table if you've gotten in a hit with everybody on Golem.
Right.
Because there's going to be a creature deck that's going to easily be like, what?
Yeah, it's like late game, a board wipe or 2 has happened.
And then you just get minimum of 6 creatures out of someone's graveyard? Holy crap, that's a lot of damage.
Alright. Artifacts. There might be some cute stuff here.
Bolus' Citadel is cute with the life gain deck.
Yes.
Like, you just get all the extra bits. If I remember correctly, Whip of Erebos gives lifelink to all creatures, not just the returned ones, so that's also a big chunk of life gain and stuff.
Yeah.
Reaper's Talisman means you gain life. I think Mask of Gristlebrand,
It gives lifelink.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I'm pretty sure Gollum said lose life, but if it is damage, that's very interesting. Yeah, lose life. Okay. I was like, oh, can you like double down, like double dip with the lifelink, but you cannot.
Pristine Talisman, good rock that like just gains the life, which is nice. Elixir of Immortality is cool. It's going to gain you 5, if I remember correctly.
The Vorpal Sword is very fun because you have a creature with Skulk. So like, as long as if your opponent's got larger creatures, you must just sneak in a kill.
Yep. Which will probably also, because you're skulking, killing the person that had too much life, and then you're probably killing the other person just on accident with the damage because they did take a hit from Golem. Do we have the full combo? Yep. Exquisite Blood and Sanguine Bond.
Yes, down here. Yes, and with second copy of one of those with Veto.
Oh, that is cute. So this does help. That wound reflection does work with Gollum because it says they lose life based on what they've lost.
Yes.
So that does double dip for damage and Golem's ability. So you just get to double that up. That's cute. Meat Hook is obviously a lot of life gain over long periods of time. This deck looks sweet, honestly. We do indeed have Rogue's Passage and Access Tunnel, which I 100% expected to see and would have been so angry if they weren't there. There is another one. I think it's actually based on CMC, though. They reprinted a new one, right, that you sacrifice. But I think, is it CMC 3 or less or Power 3 or less?
I mean, it doesn't matter. Gollum's 2.
Gollum's only 2 mana? For some reason I thought he was 3 or 4.
It's Terramorphic Expanse, but also you can sack it to make something unblockable.
Yeah.
So
like, it is a monocolor deck. So sometimes you just need to get that 1 point of damage in with Golem so you can get the train rolling on all the other things.
Mm-hmm. There's, I think, a good choice here that is also flavorful. I don't remember if there's a reason that this would not be in here. There's a card that's the Black Gate. That is it's a black land that gives one of your creatures, I think it is unblockable if it's swinging at the person with the highest life. Something like that. That would be a nice include if it does work the way that I'm thinking.
Let's see if I can...
Yeah, the Black Gate. You could also put, like, Shizu Death Storehouse in here. Fear probably gets you in. And, you know, Black Pip comes in untapped. What other...
I like the idea of Shizu's Death Store just because, you know, Skulk is not perfect.
Yeah.
Any extra... And it's cheaper than the other options.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think the only other thing that I would notice from this is typically you got Cabal Coffers, you put in an Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth.
Urborg is expensive.
It is expensive, but there's a Cabal Coffers in here. Also expensive.
Yeah, but if you have one and not the other.
Yes. We've seen some other stuff in here. I just like if that is not the reason, if you know, a price tag is not the reason to put it in here, that would be a thing I would include. Okay, so we've seen the cards in this deck.
Yes. What are you thinking, Veggie? What would you fix or alter if you were going to shuffle this up? This one was more straightforward.
I think my thoughts on it are less straightforward though. Like the build strategy, yes, but because it is so specific, the things that you're trying to do, and it is only in one color, I am struggling to think of things off the top of my head where I'm like, oh yeah, I'd swap these cards in, like these are perfect for this. I'd have to do some research before I could make any big changes to this. I'm racking my brain right now for if there's anything else I can think of that's like really ideal here.
Stealing the mouse.
Okay.
I think that there are a lot of black life gain cards, so there would be some cute includes. I think a lot of them are like preference. I think that my favorite ad here that I didn't know about was the wound reflection. I think that's really fun, given that it is worded so perfectly with him. I think Citadel's a great deck for the life gain. I think there was a lot of thought put into, you know, Talisman, Elixir, even like stupid Unicorn, Diamond Mare, whatever, like a good amount of thought. And these are not cards that you would see in the typical deck.
Yeah.
So I love it. I would absolutely shuffle this up. I like that there aren't any, you know, massive heavy hitting creatures that just instantly win the game. I wouldn't even be opposed to removing the enchantment combo, the Sanguine Bond, Exquisite Bond, just because I personally don't like winning that way, but I love the incremental value and the thought that was put into all of these cards. I don't mind powerful stuff like Meat Hook and other cards that synergize well with what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
For me, this is a fantastic deck. I would love to shuffle it up. 9.5 out of 10.
All right. But before you lock that in, because you're like, yes, this is all the things that I like, I'm surprised that you are not mentioning one of the things you also like, which is generally to be able to interact with your opponent's stuff. That is what I'm realizing there is less of. Is in mono black that that's one of the strengths of black, is be able to go just like, great, is there a creature that's a problem? I'll get rid of it. And there's not a lot of that here. I think that is the thing that I would change. I'd like to be able to have some more answers to things. Or this is mono black. It's a great place for the Withering Boon that we saw earlier in Yuriko, I believe. To give you a little bit more interaction and a surprise element.
I definitely do like interaction in my deck. It doesn't stand out to me as much just because I don't favor black interaction, because it is kind of a 1-for-1, which is not a thing I strive to do in Commander. I would love to see like -5/-5 to the board type effect, Languish or something, -4/-4. A couple more things like that in here, but for the most part, I'm not looking for a lot of 1-for-1 removal spells. And I like the ones that are here included, like March and Intervention, because it is triggering the thing that you want to do. So I'm giving them a little bit of a pass. Most of my decks do have high interaction, but sometimes I get very excited. Like with my Dwarf Vehicle deck, there was like basically none. Yeah. Just because I'm like, Dwarf Vehicle, go in deck. And that's like where my happy place is. So if the removal we have is gaining life and everything else is gaining life, it gets passed from me.
I mean, it definitely gets high marks for me, because there are a lot of cards that your opponent will need to read here. There are a lot of cards that people
extra credit
that people have not seen or had to think about for a long time. There clearly was research done to pull from the depths to get this strategy to work. I think yeah, the only thing for me is I do love playing stuff on my opponent's turn, and I don't get to do a lot of that in this deck, so I would put in more interaction, but otherwise I think 7 out of 10 for me.
Okay, that's still pretty high, like 9.5 and 7.
Right, it's a cool deck.
Definitely one of the highest averages. Also, I didn't really notice it till now, but look, you can see we have a subscriber on YouTube. This is our first YouTube live stream. I've never streamed on YouTube, have you?
Nope.
So look, we have a subscriber badge.
Woo!
That we never get to see. That's cool. Thank you all for hanging out. We still have one more deck list. For those of you guys who are just joining us, these decks are submitted by our patrons in our Discord, and they're submitted ahead of time. We're planning to do 8 deck lists per stream. Every time we get to 8 deck lists, we'll do one, but I think we're tentatively planning for like the first weekend of every single month, and then we just add them if we get too many patrons, which, yay, that'd be great. We would love to hang out with you guys every single weekend. I'll hang out with you every single 2 days of every weekend, right? More decks.
Yeah, then you have to listen to me talk about all of these cards until you go, hey, so the next deck is great too, right?
Or give you a headache by scrolling really fast nonstop. So this one, Gollum Obsessed Stalker, was submitted by TarBeast. Again, one of our longtime patrons. So special thank you to TarBeast. I really do appreciate your support, my friend. And thank you for submitting the list for today. But our final list is going to be submitted by BigDaddyMagic, one of our newest patrons, actually. And they submitted an Atraxa Praetor's Voice.
I don't know if you all have seen this card before. It's pretty new. Not a lot of people playing in Commander. But it's all colors but red, 4/4, flying, vigilance, death touch, lifelink, proliferate at your end step.
Soup. Keyword soup.
Yeah.
I love proliferate. I love keywords. Atraxa. Oh, a little scary. Definitely don't like it when my opponents play this card, but let's take a look at what we're running.
Yeah. One of the things I do like about Atraxa is you have a lot of ways that it can be built. Just taking a quick look over the creatures that are here, it's a classic +1/+1 counter strategy. Can't go wrong there, because there's been a lot of new cards that have come out that are fun to play with this.
And so she makes more counters. The Evolution Sage, which is cool.
Let's see. Yeah, like here's an example of a newer card that would not have been in your earlier builds. So now all you proliferate twice. So you at least get a double proliferate at your end of turn, but also like copies the Evolution Sage, copies the Flex Channeler.
Also noticing there's a lot of cards that are putting counters on themselves, but even if they don't, fear not. We have Arwen, Weaver of Hope, which is pretty sweet. She puts counters on things, which is nice.
Yeah, guarantees that you've got a spread across the board. Anything you play comes in with something.
Audric is cute for keyword soup.
Yes. Yeah, it turns out that that Atraxa also has a bunch of text at the top. So now all of your stuff is flying, vigilance, death touch, lifelink. And I'm sure there's a couple other ones hidden throughout the creatures that are here. This is one of my new favorite cards. God, I love this.
We've noticed you play it on every episode.
It was in like 2 in a row, and then I have not been able to sneak it into anything else because it didn't make sense. But I think I'm going to build this commander just straight up. And because each of your creatures has this ability, and then proliferate, just you can choose all of your creatures. It really reads every turn, draw a card for every creature you control.
Yep. Or more if you have Aetherflux Channeler, Evolution Sage.
Oh, well, it only triggers the 1 time per turn, which is, I wish, the things I could do with it if it was unlimited, but,
well,
the Danny Pink does.
Yeah, once per turn. So on your turn you drop a land, and then on their turn you counter a spell, right? Once per turn?
Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
It's like at once per turn, draw a card for each creature you control.
Yeah,
but,
so I was thinking once per round. So you could do it multiple times in the round, which is a lot.
Yes. I think, is this the newer Azuri also doubles your, proliferate synergy.
Draw a card. Cute.
Yeah.
What are we getting back with Tejar? So we have a couple of things, but like... It does hit all your, like, Evolution Sage, Channeler, Eternal Witness is cute, but there's no special reason for it, right?
I am trying to see if I can find, like, a loop or something that you're doing. Because you could cast like Hangerback Walker for 0, put that in the bin, something else, return it, something.
It could just be good. We have a high number of legendary creatures, and returning things like Evolutionary Sage and Eternal Witness are like bangers that we are just happy to do.
Yeah. And
we do have a lot of legendary creatures, a high volume of them in comparison.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Creatures are good.
Look at this. God, what a card.
Yeah.
Good old blue board wipes.
This won me a game in the pre-con, right? Return each creature. Yeah. That is really, really good. We see another one of them down here with the ripples as well. There was a lot of great things added with the new Merfolk pre-con to counters, which is great.
Mm-hmm. I will say, though, I feel like any deck that I'm running Wave Goodbye in, I'm also running Damning Verdict, which is just 5 mana, white, board wipe anything that doesn't have a counter on it. So I would put that in. That seems good. All your stuff is going to have a counter on it.
Yeah. I like the Simic counter synergies that also just has access to all of the black-white removal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This new too. That getting another heroic intervention type effect, but also add proliferate. Like, this is just ideal for this deck.
Why Truth and Justice? I feel like I never mastered what swords should go into what deck. This one particularly gets a +1/+1 counter, but is there any other reason? Like, some people say you don't want to have a sword that matches your color. Like, anything else in here?
Well, I mean, the second part, probably.
But I'm saying anything other than that. Because people do seem to be very particular on which ones they're using based on the colors it gives protection from, and I never understood that.
I guess... Do we have anything that this turns off?
So white and blue, things that put counters on, right?
Right, but proliferate doesn't target, so you're safe from that. Is there anything here where you're like, I need to target my own stuff? This is choose. That's cute. It gets around because even though you're phasing them out, you never actually target them. I don't know. I don't think any of the creatures had abilities that specifically target. Like Arwen just has them enter.
Odric isn't like, when it attacks, it gets target creature or anything, right?
Yeah, it's just creatures you control gain this.
Okay. So there might not be a good reason not to. I just thought I'd check because...
Yeah, no, that's the thing that you should do whenever you're including in swords or any other protection things in your deck. Is like, hey, is this going to screw me over at some point? I'm also taking a look through the enchantments to see...
This doesn't feel like a meat hook deck. And we've been seeing a ton of meat hooks, so I'm over it.
Yeah, meat hook, what are you doing here?
I feel like your creatures are just going to be larger than theirs, maybe. But, like, I don't know why it's here.
That's true. Yeah, because you also aren't like producing a lot of creatures to trigger the other stuff. I think I'd rather look for like Toxic Deluge or something that's not going to cost me so much mana, or just replace it with the Damning Verdict. As foretold is a trap. Can we spring the trap? There are 11 instants. I don't think we saw any creatures with flash. I say that this is a trap because I think I love this card, but it is rarely worth it, even if you were proliferating, because you've invested 3 mana and whatever other effects that you've done for an extra thing for one free spell. But it's once each turn, so if you have a way to break that, then it's very worth it. But there aren't a lot of ways, I think, to take advantage of this. Okay. Mana base for this 4-color deck.
Looks good. 38 lands.
Yeah.
We've got all of the pieces: Triome, Watery Grave, or Triomes, Shocks, Prismatic Vistas.
Yeah, fetches as well. Some.
Rogue's Passage. What are we Rogue's Passaging? Anything specific?
I don't think so.
It's not cute. It's just...
Sometimes you just got to get the job done.
Yeah, or you have to help your opponents get the job done. Like, I feel like Rogue's Passage oftentimes is more of a like political tool than it is anything else.
Yeah. I think in this I would be... It'll get me like one time. I'll be sad. I'll be like, I needed that to be any color so I could play Atraxa. And I would yank it out.
If you have like if you have 2 shocks and whatever, right? And you just like literal any color would have worked.
Yeah. Is there anything in here that I would want to work with Atraxa? Is Karn's in here? Surprisingly, no. Karn's
Oh.
Bastion not in here, so that would be a swap for sure.
I didn't even think to look at it because I just assumed. Like, all of the other decks where I'm like, is it here? And then, like, it always was. This one I didn't even think to ask.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm trying to think of the other lands that synergize with counters. There's, like, Nesting Grounds that allows you to move counters, but I don't think that was especially relevant. You have, like, the Hexproof counter that you got from one of the creatures, but I think this is honestly pretty good. You should just be safe with the mana that you're able to make. 38 lands seems good to me.
What I want to know is, where is Forgotten Ancient? That puts counters on all the things that don't have counters.
It does.
And he's fun. Let's hate
see.
it.
Well, I'm looking at the other creatures at 4. Like, what would you replace? Maybe it's Tashar, unless there's something like. I have a feeling there is some real cute little loop that we're missing, but I think I would be happy to swap that out for Forgotten Ancient.
Or we could replace a land.
So I'd be fine to swap out Tashar for Forgotten Ancient.
Or a mana rock. How are we doing on rocks, by the way? Ring, Signet, Fellowar Stone, Chromatic Lantern. Don't see that very often anymore.
Yeah. I think this deck doesn't need the Chromatic Lantern. Like, the mana base is solid. You had only two lands that don't produce colored mana, and Shocks and Fetches and Triumphs. I would upgrade that to a different rock.
Do we have enough creatures? Oh, 30 creatures is a fair amount. I was for some reason thinking it was a little lower, but I was thinking Great Henge with a lower creature count was a little light, but I feel like this is my line. It's just a powerful card, even if you're not, like, pooping out dudes every 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Veggie, what would you alter if you were asked to shuffle this up? What would be your number one swap, if any? Not just like a single swap, but like an idea.
Okay, hold on. I just need to check something really quick. Okay. I'm not sure because I couldn't see the cards while I was doing that. So I would want the Damning Verdict. I think I'm all for board wipes that leave you in a position to win, and that seems excellent.
Yes.
I
actually am not a huge board wipe person if it doesn't work with your strategy to help you win the game. If it is like, I am not winning, let's just start over. I hate that magic. We should not be doing that.
I also like a quick little tangent is keep track in your games. How many times does the board wiping player win the game? Like the player that board wipes and it just resets everybody. Because I would bet that it is almost never, because they are spending their resources to put everybody back to even, and then they just have to go pass, and it's rebuild. I'm screwed now.
It depends, right? Like, hypothetically, you are getting a 2-for-1 or better on every player. So a 6-for-1 is a good exchange of resources.
Well, that's assuming that your board wipe is a good one. I mean ones that are like, oh, this is even, I have to board wipe because I'm gonna lose.
Well, if you're gonna lose, then I'm assuming the board is not even. Like, you are behind in some significant way, so you're probably trading up. I agree it's probably not a ton, because I think people who are building just generic board wipes in to just keep resetting is probably not great at deck building. But I think resetting the board and using that to come up on resources probably puts you still at the 25% or whatever. I like Esper Sentinel in this.
Right? Because it gets bigger, so they have to pay more and more mana.
I'm not a huge... Like, I like Esper Sentinel because I play a lot of white decks, but I typically like it in my decks where, like, it actually isn't just a 1-1 for 1 that is moderately annoying for 3 turns. I want it to be more. I want them to be thick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this will continue generating cards. I think the only thing I would change, other than what I've said already, would be this is still a 4-color deck, and it likes to have creatures on the board because those are more sources, the more things that can get counters and build up. Give me Birds of Paradise. Give me Noble Hierarch. Give me Avacyn's Pilgrim. Give me all of your little one mana dorks that help to fix your mana, and then become a body that get counters on them.
Can you do Noble Hierarch? Isn't Noble have red?
Nope. Ignoble has red.
Oh, okay. Fair. All right. Yeah, I definitely like birds. There are a few other ones that'll give -1 or 1 for any color. What about the 3-drop that puts 2 counters on creatures and lets those creatures tap for any color mana?
Rishkar.
Rishkar feels like it should be in this. It helps enable your Evolution Sage channelers, ramps you out, and also puts the counters on the creatures that don't have it initially to help get that ball rolling. I think Rishkar is fantastic here.
Yeah.
That's my pick. All right, so rating 1 to 10 on the veggie scale. Yeah, Esper Sentinel, Rishkar, let's go!
I mean, it's Atraxa, points off on the veggie scale, because it's like, this is one of the most popular commanders of all time. And like, this is a solid deck. But it's not an innovative deck. I've seen all of these cards before. They're good cards, but makes me happy to play things that people have not seen, both in the command zone and the 99. This is just a good deck. I will give it I'll give it a 7 out of 10. It's still a good deck. I'd still have a good time playing this. It's got Danny Pink, so therefore, good deck. I just I wouldn't get that moment where I'm like, oh yeah, you need to read this card.
Okay. Veggie likes it when his cards are bad and no one knows what they do.
Yes.
I like this deck. I think that it is not abusing Atraxa too much. I like the counter synergy and using the proliferate and stuff. I think this would be a fun thing that I would like to shuffle up. So I'll give it a very good score. I'm a big fan of Conduit and Great Henge and all of these spells. I don't know. It's just doing all of the things that make me happy. The creatures seem well thought out and fun.
Actually, you brought up a good point. I think this is a very fair Atraxa deck.
Yeah, it feels like it is, and that's how I like to play Magic, even if the commanders themselves are broken or can be broken. People are like, oh, why are you doing this? It could be so much better if X. And I'm like, yeah. No. Like, we do cute proliferate things, make happy, good time. So I like this deck. I would definitely play this. I'm going to give it another 9 for me.
Yeah.
I would love to see like Rishkar or like Birds, I think was a great suggestion, just to help make sure you can cast Atraxa on an early turn, help with getting early counters on board to utilize Atraxa very well. So that would be a big hit for me. If I think that would be my number 1 choice, is to put Rishkar in off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That is the 8th deck list. Thank you so very much, BigDaddyMagic, one of our newest patrons, for signing up and hanging out with us tonight. Real quick before we go, the link in the description takes you guys to all of the deck lists that you guys see on today's show. If you guys would like to pick up any of these decks or got any cool ideas, make sure you guys use our sponsor, TOA Magic. There's a link down below in the description as well. You guys get 5% off, and this is our last month of our 3-month trial period with TOA. So if you guys are looking to pick up any cards, now is the perfect time to do so because it would help us out. We don't get a direct kickback in sales or anything like that, but they sponsor our show monthly, and we would like them to continue doing that. So help us talk them into it by picking up all the cards you were going to pick up anyway.
Yeah. Like, actually, this is the easiest way to support any of this content creators that you like, is just you choose their place to buy your cards. It's as easy as that.
Yep. Like I said, we don't get direct sales kickback, so like low pressure, even if you're just picking up something small, they know that we sent you, and that is helpful. Oh, a sub gifted subs on Twitch. Thank you so much, Red. I really appreciate those gifted subs. If you guys enjoyed this stream either on YouTube or Twitch, hit the follow button. We would love to have you guys come back. We're planning on doing these streams at least monthly for our patrons, if not more often, if we get too many deck lists submitted. And then you can use the link in the description to check out our Patreon to support us directly, help keep Decked Out Weekly. We are, I don't know, about 20-ish so patrons away from keeping Decked Out Weekly for all of 2024.
So close.
We will no longer be weekly at the end of this month. So only 3 more weekly episodes. So check it out if you would like to be one of those people that help us stay weekly. And you might even be able to submit your deck here or for us to play on the show. Is that everything, Veggie?
I don't know.
That's my job. Thank you guys again so much for being here. We are going to end the stream now, and we will see you guys tomorrow for a brand new episode of Decked Out.
Yes.
Bye.
Is that everything?
I think so.
I don't know.